Welcome in, family. Keep on coming in. I'll be able to see your comments soon. Don't comment yet. Okay, I want to be able to see your comments, so do not comment yet. Let's hang on, hang tight, hang tight. Welcome in, everyone, to YouTube. We're getting everything set up. For those of you coming in, you see the Truth Factory on the left. That's what I am calling the podcast now. I think that is a magnificent name. We're called now the Truth Factory. So let's keep that in mind. Matter of fact, as you guys are coming into the room, I'm gonna play y'all a little bit of music. So this is kind of, I guess, my setup for my music for right now, unless I make a new intro for it. But this, of course, is one of my songs off my album, The Rapture. That's in the process of being copyrighted, so I can sell it to you guys. But no further ado, here we go. Give me a star to reach for, and I'll go so high. I'll go so high. Won't touch the ground. Take these wings and pull these strings and stitch these wings before we all fall down. We just want the truth. We just want the truth, family. That's it. Just the truth. The truth. Why? Cause it'll make these walls fall down. We just want the truth. Why? Cause it'll make these walls fall down. Ain't I the closest thing to an angel with broken wings? Can't fly. People tried to kill him, but he can't die. And he can't deal with the pain, the damage he inflicts on himself remains, and he can't heal when he's supposed to. So as opposed to having energy, he doesn't. He's been exposed to the truth, and there's an enemy between him and God. So much chemistry between him and I. Chemically we're the same, so I guess he is my inner side. Intertwined, him and I are the same chemically, You got that medicine and better be proven clinically to heal him. Better yet, kill him. Until then, I represent truth. That's all I gotta say, And they get upset. And they make death threats like that don't make them a suspect. Wow. I consider myself enlightened, so I look on the bright side. When I say if they kill me, I'll just be a legend faster and even better rapper. And I never use guns because I never had to. You catch me slipping, then I guess I'm Casper. But let me ask you, did make your life any better, you jealous bastard? It don't matter, I'm everlasting. I'm telepathic, I'll drop hella classics, I'll tell you that shit. I'll live forever through my passion if that would've ever happened. When it comes to the truth, you gotta reach for the stars like Inspector Gadget in order to grasp it. Who better at it? Snatch welcome in, family. Whoever has it, take it and give it back to him after I let them have it. Like, why would you give it back to him after you welcome let them in, have family. It? Because I'm consistently growing. Welcome to the Truth Factory. Eventually, I'ma be who I was meant to be. The only thing that's keeping me from that. Brandon says she loves this song. I appreciate it. This is my favorite song, my favorite project right here. Give me a year with you, you'll believe in time travel. All right, so let's see. Josh, can we get you to bring back up the Truth Project for me? I don't know why I said the Truth Project, the Truth Factory for me. So guys, as you see that, the name of the show now is called The Truth Factory, all right? I believe that's the best name for the podcast, The Truth Factory, because that's what our goal is here, to always give you guys the truth and to always give you guys the facts, and we're continuously doing that. Hence the title, The Truth Factor. And if you look at the name when we bring it back up, you're going to see on the far left, of course, the is in white, and then ORY is in white. That's because that spells theory. So what we're doing is we're trying to use truth and fact to separate you from theory. So we're going to get you away from theory and get you more into truth and fact. So when you see the Truth Factory, always keep that in mind. Give me a moment, family. I'm about to be reading off all your comments. Thank you all for coming in. Yes, this is going to be a really good dialogue. We're going to talk about some things that may be uncomfortable for some to even hear, for some to speak on. So believe me, but the goal, of course, is to get you guys the truth and to just want to make sure we get everything up, guys. Just hold tight. The goal is, of course, get you guys the truth so we can have a better world. Guys, welcome in. Ricky, I see you on, brother. Ricky, can you hear me? Ricky, of course, is one of my guest guys. I don't know if he can hear me just yet. Of course, we got the man Lorenzo in the building again tonight. Lorenzo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I had you muted, bro.
Okay, no problem at all. Welcome in, guys.
What's up, Ricky? Oh, man, Coach, what's going on, brother? How you doing? Doing pretty good, man. How you? Ready to get this conversation started?
I'm telling you about it, man. Me too, brother.
What's up to all the family out there?
Absolutely. Guys, while we're getting started, keep in mind the event on this month, okay, the 16th, Meeting of the Minds. Lorenzo and myself are bringing you guys some information that we refuse to give in any other location other than this particular event, because we want the people that come to this event to get exclusive information. And frankly, we're talking about rebuilding and talking about ways to strategize and these type of things we don't want to do on live feed. So please make sure you guys come and get this information that we have prepared so hard to give you guys. That's the 16th. So make sure you guys come to that. And if you don't mind, I'm going to give you guys the directions or the address and all. Lorenzo, do you have it on hand?
The directions?
Not the directions, the address and all. Excuse me.
I do not have it on hand, but I know that it's at the, if you just Google the Black Dot Books, Culture Center and Bookstore in Lithonia, Georgia, that'll give you the address. So Black Dot Bookstore, Black Dot Cultural and Bookstore, Culture Center and Bookstore, Lithonia, Georgia. It's the only one. It's the only Afrocentric bookstore in Lithonia. So not too hard. It's on Main Street. I know it's on Main Street.
I'm pulling it up now.
So yes, definitely, like people, if you're in Atlanta, if you're close to Atlanta, if you're within 500 miles of Atlanta, I'm saying buy your plane ticket, get in the car, drive, do whatever you got to do, but show up. Show up because, what we're going to be talking, go to Eventbrite, get your early ticket, but show up because, we're talking about rebuilding your mind so that we can rebuild the culture. And Absolutely. It's not, and as we rebuild your mind, we're going to rebuild your energy, rebuild how you think on cosmic levels. You got to show up for this in order to really get this. We're going to go deeper here than we go on any of our videos that we produce or anything like that. So I'm telling you guys, you got to be there. You got to show up. That's Absolutely. The only way things happen is for us to show up.
Absolutely.
To show up. Nothing else happens. Everything else is just talk.
Absolutely.
Until you show up.
Remember, guys, you guys give myself and Lorenzo a lot of credit for having the courage to step out and do what we do for you guys. But you have to remember at the end of the day, it starts with you. Now, I'm not talking about your learning and information. Of course, that may have started. We may have been the catalyst for you guys to walk away from religion or learn more about religion to make you consider. But when we say it starts with you, we're talking about the better world that you want to see. You're not going to see a better world unless you're contributing to a better world. Please understand that. Myself and Lorenzo, we understand that it started with us. Our hope, where we are right now, we are only where we are because of us stepping out and doing what we needed to do. And so all we're asking is that you guys do the same thing. That is at Black Dot Cultural Center and Bookstore. That's 6984 Main Street in Atlanta or Lithonia. Okay, so just keep that in mind, guys. It's the last thing I shared on my personal page, and of course the Be the Evolution fan page. If you guys would like to go ahead and get that event or to get the tickets, if you even plan to buy a ticket and you don't have the funds to do that right now, just go share it so someone else can see it and be informed on this event. So please help us to make sure we pack this place out so we can get as many people in one room so we can give this information. We're not going to live stream this. I've had many people ask me, this type of information, we're not going to live stream. We're talking about strategizing, guys, and we're talking about rebuilding your mind. That is the key. Many of us walk away from religion and we still haven't changed our mind in terms of how our mind processes things, how our mind finds what we think is truth. We still tend to latch on to whatever just sounds good before we do any in-depth research, and we often end up believing in other things prematurely, which is exactly how we ended up in religion. So even though you may not believe in the narrative or the character Jesus or Muhammad or any of these characters that's associated with these religious books, you may still in fact have a religious mind. And that's why we want to help you. When I say religious, I don't mean attached to a religion. So you may say, well, I don't believe in any religion, so I'm not religious. Religion is a word that comes from a word called religare, which means to bind or tie up. So religion is any thought, any mental hold that is on you that causes you to live your life in a way that you were programmed to live it. So we're talking about destroying religion totally, not because we often say on this show, racism is the biggest religion. Okay, not Christianity, not Islam, racism, right? Or separatism is the biggest religion. It is religare. It is used to hold your mind back, to bind or tie up. So keep that in mind, family.
Kevin.
Yes, sir.
I think people are saying it's lagging.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to relaunch the stream. It's not. I don't know if it's your internet. It's kind of hard to tell because you seem green, like your status is green when you're streaming, but the output is still laggy. So I don't know if we should try it, like retry the stream again, or actually, I might have something.
Okay, yeah, whatever we need to do, I don't mind.
Okay.
Gosh,
So
pretty good, man.
I gotta get with you on copyright stuff, business stuff.
Okay, you know what? I got some deep business stuff that I want to talk to you that we got to discuss as well, like getting things set up for a certain way.
Okay. Let me see if this helps it at all.
Okay. Still lagging?
Is it just Kevin that's lagging or everybody's lagging?
It was just Kevin. Let me see what's going on now.
See, this is the difference between living in the country and living in the city.
We get it, Lorenzo. City people are better than country people. See that separatism that you're doing? You want to spread that separatism?
Just access to technology. That's all. Access to
I'm kidding, man. Actually, guys, if you guys are not lagging, Lorenzo, Ricky, if you guys will go ahead and if you'd like to say anything to the audience or anything while I'm waiting to get straightened out, feel free.
Okay. Well, if you're waiting on getting his act together, how about a little Q&A? If y'all got some questions, we'll do some Q&A until Kevin got his act together over there.
Linda Jones wants to know, Kevin Wesley, why do you guys laugh and lower religion?
Say it again.
I love that. Why do we laugh and lower religion?
Why do we laugh at religion? I can't see the comments. I'm sorry.
Okay, so laugh and lower religion.
Why do we laugh and lower religion?
Yes. I'm typing it exactly as they typed it, so I'm confused. Yes.
Oh, okay. Lorenzo, if you want to answer that, or I don't know if I'm lagging.
Yeah, I am. Because you're lagging and nobody can hear you anyway. It is not that we are laughing at. Okay, so let me put it this way. That if you feel that we laugh at religion, and I would go ahead and say that that might be a true statement. We do laugh at religion because we laugh at the silliness of it all. The fact that you can have empirical facts right in front of you that show that your religion is not based on any realities, that your religion is based on just the creation of somebody's head for control or for whatever reason they couldn't explain something. We laugh at the fact that in today's time, with as much knowledge and information at hand, which has many and as much contradictions within the books themselves and their history not owning up or adding up, that we laugh at the fact that people will still go ahead and emotionalize this entire situation and still remain a slave to it. Now, as far as the lowering of religion, we do not lower religion because we cannot lower it, because it lowers itself based on the fact of its contradictions within itself. You cannot go to any group of people in the same religion and find them all thinking the same way, acting the same way, being the same way, believing the same way. Even those people will have conflict and create whole new denominations based on how they feel, or based on their, even worse, their culture or their race or their gender. So we can't lower something that consistently lowers itself over and over again. So we do not lower it. It lowers itself. And all we do is point out what it is doing within itself. When it changes, when the word, it says that you can't change the word, that Yeshua, I come not to change not one tittle from this word, but yet the church has consistently and continuously changed it year after year after year. We're not lowering it. They're lowering their own standards. When you initially start out saying a God that says that this is the only way to me, but then he keeps changing it and changing it and changing it, we're not lowering the standard. The religion is lowering the standard. So we don't lower it. We just pointed out of what is lowering it within itself. You want to add anything to that, Ricky? You're still muted. You're muted, Ricky.
I appreciate it. That was I mean, you're right on point, Coach, as always. One thing that I would like to add, right on point with what you said, is it's so divisive. Like, it's almost to the point where it's almost like hilarious how divisive it is, because even on the smallest points, rather than say, okay, we're going to just like stay together and work this out, a religion they'll just separate, go start another denomination, and say, okay, we're doing it right, you're wrong. So why do Christians not talk to each other? They'll separate and they'll split and they'll argue amongst each other, and we're doing the same thing that they're doing. Your own denominations in your own faith are telling other denominations that they're wrong. So, but when we come out and say you're wrong, there's a whole issue. There's denominations that think other Christians are not going to heaven because they're not following that book the way that they think it's supposed to be followed. So, again, it's a waste of resources. You got all of these churches. I just did some research a little while ago. A church right down the street from my home. It's worth $1 million. I went on I looked at the property value. The church is worth $1 million. They probably have about 20, maybe 30 members, if that. It's just a waste of resources. And they just split because they just can't agree. So if the religion within itself causes all of this confusion and all these arguments, and just like Coach said, there's no substantial amount of evidence that can prove that it exists. Why continue to hold on to it when every other thing outside the book shows you that it's not real and that it doesn't? No one can heal anything that you can see with God. God can't stop someone from going in the church and slaughtering, and murdering everyone that's there supposed to worship Him. So, like, what the only power that this God has is the power that we give Him. So that's all
I like that. Actually, that was powerful, Ricky. First off, guys, just so you know, that was, of course, Lorenzo Coach Reed. You can find him on YouTube, Facebook under the same names. Ricky, of course, you can find him on YouTube under Begging for Change. That's correct, Ricky?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then it's Ricky Smiley on Facebook, correct?
It's actually Ricky Swing, man. Don't make Ricky Smiley mad at me, man, for like sending people to my page and getting disappointed.
Man, it's definitely Swink. You don't remember when Jamie Foxx brought up Doug Williams and he called him a different Doug at the end of the thing, like when he was supposed to give his name. He just hated on Doug, man. So let me say this too before I answer that. First, thank you very much, Begging for Change, or Ricky, for the donation, man. You the man. Brian, thank you very much for your donation. You guys do understand that we cannot do this without you. So thank you guys very much for donating so we can continue doing this for you guys. Every week, us guys, we get information for you guys. We spend time in research. And of course, you guys' donation is definitely help with that. Because you guys really don't understand the time that we put in to be able to bring you guys this information at zero cost. So thank you guys very much, those of you who do understand that and do understand that people who are bringing positivity and information to you so you can better your life do deserve some type of help doing that. I really thank you guys for understanding that. Begging for Change it asks, where do we get this shirt, Born Winners? This, of course, is mine and Josh's new brand. Guys, I came up with this and we decided to make this the main brand because so many children have been taught that they're born sinners. And so what we're trying to do now is flip that around. We want children to know that they're born winners. They are not sinners, okay? And so we want to give this type of information to our children as a foundation and not tell them that God is upset with them or needs them to repent to him for something that somebody did, 7,000 years ago or whatever. Or the first two human beings, so-called, on the planet did, now they have to somehow be accountable for that. So we want to teach differently. So I want to ask the question really quickly. Why do I laugh personally at religion? I never attempt to lower religion, but we laugh at religion, honestly, frankly, because from our perspective now, it wasn't before when we were believers, but from our perspective now, not believing in this information as the inspired word of God, it is actually funny, considering the fact that the being in the Bible that's called God is supposed to be all-knowing, and yet all this stuff happens. So when we laugh about, Jesus seeing a fig tree that wasn't in season, and he cursed it because it didn't have fruit on it, it was out of season, and he cursed it because it did not have, fruit on it. That's funny to us, okay? That's absolutely hilarious because he should have known. Common sense would tell you when something's out of season. So why would you punish a tree? And he could have just as simple made the tree grow a fig, but he decided to make it wither. And so we look at these type of things, and to us, they are funny. It's not to laugh at the people who subscribe to the information, but to us, we do have a sense of humor still. Just because we walk away from religion does not mean that we don't have a sense of humor. And most people laugh at their pain. They laugh at some of the things that they used to think or that they've been through. So it's not to take jabs at Christianity at all, or not Christianity, because we're going to say we don't respect Christianity at all. But it's not to take jabs at the believers in Christianity. That's never our point. Our goal is only to inspire, never to condemn. We don't want to tear you guys down. We're only here to build you guys. So if we laugh, it's not laughing at you personally. Keep that in mind. So what I want to do is, because we can get right into it, we're talking about today ministers, manipulation, and molestation. So I want to talk first about manipulation. What does the word manipulation mean? So first, let me give you guys that. The word manipulation, it means, now, when I was in school, we learned not to use the word in the definition when you're trying to define the word. So the definition for manipulation is the action of manipulating something in a skillful manner. The next one is the action of manipulating someone in a clever or unscrupulous way. Now, because that term manipulation is in the definition for manipulate or manipulation, what I want to try to do is look up the word manipulate first, because we want to get down to the heart of what this word actually means. To handle or control in a skillful manner, to control or influence a person or situation cleverly, unfairly, or unscrupulously. Control, influence, advantage, exploit, maneuver, engineer, steer, direct. These are synonyms of the word manipulate. Thank you very much, Stephanie. Hey, you guys, So what I wanted to say about the truth factory here before we get started here is you see it says the, and then in white, and then on the outside right of, or the outside of factory, it says ori in white. If you were to remove truth and fact, you would have the word theory. So of course, this is the name of the podcast now, the Truth Factory. When you see this word, I want you guys to, or this logo, I want you guys to just imagine this is what our goal is, to separate theory from truth and fact. All right. So that's what our goal is. We're separating theory by giving you guys truth and fact. We're separating you from theory by giving you truth and fact. So the Truth Factory is what we're doing. Of course, we are a factory of truth and facts. So that's what I want you guys to keep in mind for the name of the show. So I'm gonna leave that up for the entire time so we can remember that. So from here on out, we're gonna be saying "Welcome to the Truth Factory" instead of just saying the podcast. Okay. And again, thank you very much, Stephanie Valerie, for your donation. So again, manipulation. Someone says here to hypnotize, of course, would be manipulation. But we saw here it means to control or to steer. Guys, manipulation, or a person who manipulates, doesn't need to know that they're manipulative. They may not know that they are manipulative. So first off, I know that the title of this show says ministers. I want you guys to understand that we have more people that are manipulative than ministers. But ministers do have to be manipulative, even if their goal is not to be a manipulator. They do stir you in a certain direction, right? They do guide you, so to speak, or coax you to make certain decisions and things like that. Now, the part is this. The last thing I would try to say is all ministers are bad. Let me just clear that up now. I don't want anyone thinking that. My pastor was like a father to me before he died, and I would never say anything bad about him. I don't know anything bad about him. To my knowledge, he truly believed in what he was teaching in his heart, and he very much seemed that way. So I would never try to say that every pastor is out to manipulate you or take something from you or hurt or harm you in any way. Some of us, or some of them, are really genuine. I was genuine when I did it, and I knew everybody that I knew pretty much was genuine. I didn't know that people, was teaching this stuff, not even believing in it, okay, or teaching this stuff with the goal of trying to manipulate people. What I find now is you have a lot of pastors who used to be pimps and hustlers, and they just kind of switched positions. Even if they're doing it because they say, hey, I was called, or the Lord laid it on me, they're still using what they have been good at for so long to now do ministry, right? So what I'm trying to say to you guys tonight is what we're looking for in manipulators is not saying that all ministers are bad. The problem with it is this. Why do ministers rape? Why do they manipulate? Because they are operating under the guise that they are called by God, okay? A God who does not make mistakes, right? So we understand, people do this. We understand that people, rape and they manipulate. But why do pastors and ministers do it? Why does this happen, guys? This is any religion, not just Christianity. Why is this a thing? So I'm going to read to you guys some of the examples of manipulation, and I want you guys to kind of think this over, all right? Thank you very much, Candy Amo. Definitely. So here we go. I'm going to read some stuff I have here in notes for you. So we have 10 different types of manipulation. So the first one, guys, is a constant victim. The person who loves to play a victim always makes you feel like you're harming them. And we know this happens in relationships mostly, right? No matter what happens, the person's going to assume the victim role and make you feel responsible for what happened, right? It's always you. It's never them. So we do know this as a form of manipulation. This doesn't have to be in a relationship or a male, female, wife, husband, or partnership relationship, whatever. It can be in any type of friendship where someone plays the victim card on you often, and you could be easily deceived by this way of manipulation. The second form of manipulation is the one-upsman. Okay, that is the person who tries to show superiority by putting you down. You see this a lot when people attempt to debunk me in videos. They spend the first half or the entire video putting me down. This is a term of manipulation. If I can say enough bad stuff about this person, I can discredit this person before I even speak on him. If I can get people thinking enough doubt about this person, what more do I really need to do? My argument doesn't need to be solid. All I need to do is make this person look bad, and hey, maybe I'll have a chance, and my argument will have a chance. So and they don't even know they're doing this. They just talk too much about how they personally feel about you without producing their information, which tells you a lot about them and where they're coming from. The next one is powerful dependence. Okay, they make you feel like you cannot let them down. Okay, they make you feel like they're depending on you personally, so much so that now you feel forced to do whatever it is that you feel that they need you to do. They call on you a lot and ask you to do stuff, and they make you feel like, you got to do this. Like I have nobody else. So they really use the fact that they are personally dependent on you, and you tend to do what they want because you want to be dependent on. And they make you feel like you are a dependable person. And they'll definitely flirt with you or inspire you, right, to make you continue doing this for them. Okay, so that's an act of manipulation. The next one is triangular, and that's one who tries to put people on their side by putting you down. Okay, so they politics, sort of, right? We're going to try to find a way to make everybody not like this person. The next one is blasters. We all know blasters. They blow up at you when you ask a question to prevent answering the question. We all know those guys, right? You ask them a question, typically about religion, right? Or something they don't want to answer for you, and they yell at you because you asked them a question. They don't want to answer the question. That's a blaster, okay? And then all of a sudden you get scared to even ask them a question. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even want to ask them because you just know how they're going to act. A projector, okay? A projector thinks that they are perfect and they never take ownership, okay? They project their own faults onto you. So a projector is someone, a blaster is someone who yells. So often when you think of the word projection, you think someone who raises their voice. But no, here, projector means, think of the actual device, a projector. It projects an image onto a wall or a fabric so you can see that image, right? So this is what a projector does. They actually project themselves, their own faults, onto other people, okay? And they love to do that. And so you'll notice this when you see it. They'll say it's you when it's really them, right? Let's see here. And again, they project what they are onto you, and they never take ownership for their faults. Okay, a misinterpreter. You'll see this a lot when people try to debunk me. They'll deliberately twist your words, okay, and present you in a false negative way. I had a guy that asked me the other day, "Hey Kevin, what about the church you pastored? Right? How long were you a pastor? I want to see your credentials." I said to the man, I never had my own church. I was an associate pastor, youth pastor for several years. Now, I wasn't called a youth pastor. In my church, we just did not do that. I was called a pastor. I wasn't called a youth pastor. I taught on Sundays, actually most of the time, after my pastor died, of course. So, of course, I was not known as a youth pastor. I was known as a pastor. I then explained that when my video first went viral, okay, it didn't go viral off of my page, right? And you guys, of course, know this, but I'm saying this to make a point. A page called Melanated Consciousness, okay, took the video and put on it, ex-pastor leaves the church, says he can't teach a lie to black people anymore. In the video, you hear me saying, I know you guys saw me preach, right? I never say pastor, right? And I never say I don't want to teach a lie to just black people anymore. I've never said any of this. Since then, I've been hounded about these two things that were just in the title of a video that I've never said. The title of that video, number one, shows you guys how manipulation works. Melanated Consciousness has no need to manipulate anyone. They just wanted people to click on the video, I imagine. So you make it a catchy topic. Every one of us, when we're creating videos, always try to think of catchy topics or titles to title your video. I imagine this is what they did. However, this is how strong manipulation works. Till this day, people are still, coming after me about, was I a pastor, right? How long was I a pastor? And why would I only not want to teach a lot of black people? How come I can't not want to teach a lot of everybody? Which neither one of these things I said in my initial video that they're talking about. But needless to say, when the person asked me that, I explained to him that I wasn't a pastor with my own ministry. Many people ask me, Kevin, what about the tithe you took? Are you going to give it back? I never took a tithe. I didn't believe in tithe even as a minister. And when I started my own ministry, I wasn't going to take a tithe. So I never took a tithe. Okay. This is because I, of course, I learned while I was in the ministry, of course, and that's a whole nother story. That tithe wasn't to be took. Of course, the pastor's wife, or the person who was over the church at the time, she didn't agree, and I didn't get to state my case to her. I stated it to someone else, and they went and told her how I felt about tithe, and she just shut it down. So I believe if I had got to talk with her personally, it could have went differently. But again, manipulation is powerful. My words could have been twisted in a way that she just wasn't trying to receive them anymore, knowing my end goal was to say tithe is not, inspired by God in that way. But needless to say, long story short, guys, if I could still do that, it's probably not possible now. But when I said this to them that, I didn't have a church, they created a whole meme and said that if Kevin will lie about being a pastor, what else will he lie about? Well, those who follow me and have been from the beginning will know that I've never made it like I had my own church. Never once. In fact, my first interview with Dr. Ray Hagins, when the interview first starts, I say I was never a pastor. I was a youth pastor. And he said, brother, that's a pastor. Let's continue. Well, all right then. Right. But again, when people say these things, it amazes me how they say this as if it takes away from something I say. You're not a pastor. Why is that your goal? Why is that your angle? Why not refute the information that I have presented with your own information or proof that what you believe in is a fact or is true? Why not that? Why say, let me target you and reduce you so what you say isn't important or it has less validity? Because if I can discredit you, then of course your information would be discredited. But is that true? Discrediting a person, does it discredit their information? We know that's not true. But again, this attempt really, it comes from a manipulating mind. So either which way, so we got misinterpreter. The next one is a flirt, one who loves admiration, of course, and attention. And they often say things to you that you want to hear to get you to do things for them, but they ignore your goals and what you want out of life. So we all know people like that. They always got something real nice to say to you, right? They have something real, uplifting to say to you, but it's never without, but can you do me a favor? I mean, you know what I mean? And they don't care about what you want. They only care about getting what they want. All right. So they may give you a compliment or two, but they never actually end up doing anything for you. The next one is iron fist, one who uses intimidation to back you into a corner so you don't ask them questions or challenge them in any way. The next one, of course, is a multiple offender, one who does pretty much all these things and probably does them really well. So we're talking about manipulators and how to spot them. Of course, before we get into molestation, we're going to talk about manipulators. So with that being said, let me just say this too. Guys, when it comes to us doing this show and continuing to do this podcast and give this information out, I want you guys to know how important it is that you guys contribute to us doing this. My number one question for you guys is, do you think that I can do this alone? Do you think that Lorenzo can? Okay. Do you think that Rick Swink can do this on his own? I believe that your answers would have to be unanimously, no, we cannot do it on our own. What does that mean? That means that we need your help. Okay. We cannot do this without your participation. None of our goals is to just sit here and talk to you guys. I want you guys to understand, we're not in this to just have a name. Okay. Just to get online and say, ooh, 200 people are watching. That's silly to us. If you're not going to be about it, there's no use in talking about it, right? So what I want you guys to can just continuously think while we're on this show is actions speak louder than words. Look at the things that we have done. I think our actions speak a whole lot louder than our words, man. Again, we can talk all day about wanting a better future. We can talk all day about what we're going to do to make it happen. But what are you going to do? That's the thing. So just keep that in mind, guys. With every single donation you guys give, it will be used in a positive way so we can continue doing this work. It is not easy. So just keep that in mind, guys, just so you guys understand that. With that being said, Lorenzo.
Yes, sir.
So on the topic of manipulation, is there anything that you could say to the people on how to spot manipulation, whether it be, a pastor or just a normal person, things to look for and to know when you're being manipulated and what to do when you feel like you are being manipulated?
I mean, okay. So You gave many different variations of manipulators,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the core things that if anybody's trying to manipulate you, the core thing that they have to do is find your emotional pain point. And that's what you see not just in the church, but within sales, within community, within politics, within everything, is finding out what is your pain point and your emotions, the pain point of your emotions, and use that in order to make you think that they're on your side. I mean, we just saw that in the election a couple of years ago with Donald Trump, right? Regardless of how you feel about the man, he recognized pain point for most of rural America, and by recognizing that pain point and playing on that pain point, he was able to manipulate his way into the White House, and it worked. And so when we think about ministers in the church, they are looking at your pain points, especially in the black church. In the black church, they know that most people in there have bad credit. Most are financially below the curve. Most are undereducated. Most are renters and not buyers of home. Most don't own businesses. Most of them work for somebody else at a lower wage than their value. So this is why most of the messages have to be messages of hope and the afterlife and God got something waiting for you or something's coming. Because they want to manipulate the fact that they know that Monday through Saturday that you just trying to get through, the bills are coming, the stress is there from not having enough, and so they key on that pain point. So anytime somebody's trying to play on your emotions and play on your pain, that's when they're looking at some form, whether they realize it or not, of manipulation. Is to play on those pain points. And now the flip side of that is convincing you that nothing that has ever occurred to you in your life is by your doing. By making sure that you believe that some outside force is needed in order for you to be successful. So even if you do get you, how many times, whether they believe it or not, these people, they win an award, they win a national championship, or they do a deal that nets them tens of thousands of dollars, $100,000, $1 million. They do something like that. And the first thing they do is they give all the glory outside of themselves. When you have to ask, who got up in the morning and did the work? Who made the deal? Who practiced? Who went and did the study in order to be able to do it? And they'll say, oh, well, I'm going to give even that. I'm going to give that to something outside of myself. So they'll convince you that everything that happens to you comes from outside of that is good. And even when things are going bad, that is for a purpose for you so that you can do better either in the now or in the hereafter. And always playing on your emotions. So manipulators love to figure out where your emotional state is, and then they play on that emotional state.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, CD3, Terry McCullough, and also LeSean. Thank you very much, guys. Actions speak louder than words. That means so much to me, guys. Sorry about that, Lorenzo. Were you going to continue? Or was you done with your statement?
I was done with that part of it.
Okay.
Ricky, I'm controlling. So Ricky, what you got?
Well, just before Ricky gets started, you guys just keep in mind it's 8:52, and I'm expecting my female caller to call in, and she's going to be talking about her experience in the church, of course, dealing with, of course, manipulation and molestation. And so this will actually be my first time even hearing her story as well. So just hang tight, and that will be coming in. So with that being said, Mr. Ricky, aka Begging for Change, what do you have to say for us on the topic of manipulation, sir?
You don't take that mute button off, Ricky.
Ricky, just stay off mute, bro. Just stay off mute, bro. Just don't touch it, bro.
I'm only going to say the first names.
All right.
Okay, I'm only going to say the first name because it's PayPal, and you guys don't like to be out. But some of you guys don't know. So, and of course, some of you guys donate to PayPal because it doesn't take much of a percentage, and we can use more of the funds that way. So, thank you very much, Nebraska, and then also thank you very much, Eddie. Actions speak louder than words, brother. Lighthouse, what's up? Shout out to the Lighthouse, guys. Of course, that's Jamal Milton and the crew. They got lighthouses everywhere, and these people really stand behind you. So shout out to the Lighthouse. Thank you very much, Legacy Fly. Okay, sorry about that, Ricky.
Oh, no, it's fine, man. I'm sorry about having stuff on mute. Now, what I was going to say is almost like karaoke before you sing the person before you, they just get up and kill it, and you got to come right out to them. So that's how I feel right now. But Lorenzo just basically just broke everything down. I was just going to also add, Kev, like what you were saying before. A lot of these people are questioning your credentials, and credentials is one of the things that won't allow some of these preachers to kind of step away from what they're doing because they do have credentials. They have been in seminary and theology school, and they spent all of this money, invested all of this money into this education to teach these things to our people, and so it just makes it that much more harder for them to be able to step away from it. So I just kind of wanted to make that point. But in the book it says that the guys that Jesus character went after, they were ignorant and unlearned men. So it really doesn't make a difference there. But as Lorenzo coach said, they always play on your emotions. When they try to extract a little bit of money that you have out of you and just get you to do things just from an emotion, it's all based off of emotion because there's nothing logical attached to it. So anytime you're dealing with manipulation, that's what you're basically dealing with. You're dealing with someone's emotional state because they're not thinking rationally, they're not thinking logically, and they're not using their common sense. So you're more apt to be able to manipulate it in that case. That's where a lot of our people are. We're low, we're at the bottom, we're struggling. So like you say, you can play on those pain points, use that to your advantage. So it takes someone who really cares about their people and not exploit them.
Absolutely. Wow. That was actually powerful. When you're dealing with a religion that is based in faith, and all religions are based in faith, you do have to manipulate because there's never going to be any fact. Because with fact, you don't need faith, right? With proof, you don't need faith. So there's always going to be manipulation. You have to be manipulated to even continue week to week because you're told to hang on and don't tarry. And those that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They'll mount up with wings as eagles, and they'll run and not be weary, right? They'll walk and not faint. And we understand these scriptures and we say, okay, this means just hang on a little longer. So even in your impatience, you say, I'm going to choose to wait on the Lord, right? And you'll do this your whole Christian life if you have to, if it means seeing this heaven that you believe in, that you've never seen any proof of. So, of course, all of this falls under manipulation. The next topic that Ricky said, he said that, credentials are a lot of the reasons that people don't want to leave ministry. When you think about this, people often go to seminary school. They often get, degrees in religion, okay? And a lot of times this is what they spent a lot of time going to school for. So believe me, they are invested. And to be told that what they've went to school for this entire time isn't based in truth, that is theology, and that does not mean anything towards proof, regardless of how many degrees you have. This frustrates them and it makes them upset. The reason is because they've attached their identity to it. It's now everything that they stand for and put their hope in. Again, it falls under putting all your eggs in one basket. We know that this is something that the Bible demands. There's even a scripture in the Bible where Jesus tells you if you don't hate your family, then you can't love him, or you're not worthy of him. So we do know that you're supposed to make God or Jesus or whoever you're serving in religion number one. Okay. Thank you very much, Sean Williams. Actually speak louder than words. So when you're dealing with manipulation, I mean, in ministry, you're going to get it often more times than not. Someone said earlier, because if you guys don't know, Tamel, I'll explain him to you guys a little bit later. But next week's show, we're having a panel of pastors who have walked away from religion, and we're going to discuss what do we do going forward. But someone said this on a video that I shared of theirs. He was interviewing another pastor who walked away from religion. He was a bishop over 44 churches. Okay, and he will be on the show next week to discuss why he walked away and what we can do, guys, as ex-ministers, ex-clergy, to move our world forward into a non-religious world. So that's what we'll be talking about next week. But someone commented on that post and said that, pastors are now leaving religion because they see that it's a money hustle to leave. That couldn't be further from the truth. See, Lorenzo's laughing already. Listen, pastors, if these type of people exist and they are considering walking away, because if you already walked away from religion, you already done got slapped in the face with the truth. So I don't even have to tell you. But if you are considering leaving religion because you think there's money in non-religion, you couldn't be further from the truth. People in non-religion Do not give money like people in religion. You're not going to manipulate these people by telling them they're going to hell. You're not going to manipulate these people by telling them that it's going to come back to them multiplied, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Listen, they have been manipulated and lied to for their entire lives. And they have family members who has given all their money away or 10% of their income or more away for years and don't own a home or their land. Asking these people for money, you're going to get hung. Trust me, they don't play. I understood this when I first walked away from religion. Whenever I would ask for help, they would tell me straight up, you're going to have to prove yourself. And people are just now getting to where they donate. And that's actually a small amount of people. Listen, I got over 300,000 people who follow me. When you guys see these donations coming up every week, that's about the donations that I get throughout the week. That's it. Thank you very much, Nisha Sharice. Again, the Lighthouse, salute. So guys, just keep it in mind, to even say that is to, again, to misinterpret one's reasons for walking away. You don't have, where do you get the audacity to assume why somebody else walked away from religion before they even say it? This is how manipulation works. And people don't know they're manipulating. They'll just often say why you did something without even getting proof on why you did it or even asking you why you did it. This is manipulation. So again, if you think that there's money in walking away from religion, again, you couldn't be further from the truth. So you have to understand that this is said to belittle the people who are walking away from religion. All right. So
you know what?
Yes.
There is only one way that a person who's a master manipulator can walk away from religion and do it for the money. There's only one way, really. Mm-hmm. And that is because if you think about it like this, is just walk away for just a second. One of the things that is used to manipulate people to stay within the religion or to build their religion, build their church or whatnot, is a manipulation of the ego, right, of the person, the ego and the vanity of a person. Right? So if you take a person and you tell them that they're a great minister, great speaker, that people are moved by them, that they're going to go a long way in ministry and they're going to be able to bring people and draw people into the body of Christ, which really they're just saying that, because of who you are, your charisma, they're feeding the ego of the person. And then the person goes along with it, but then the person starts having the vanity of it, of having the houses and the cars and the accolades and all that sort of thing. Now, if you look at the current state of not just Black consciousness, but look at consciousness as a whole, there is a draw of people who are saying that where all they say is they follow the line of The Secret. They saw how The Secret brought people in from all different walks of life and they made money off of it. And even though the formula of The Secret is so far away from being the fullness of the Hermetic laws, which is truly what the laws of attraction are, you got to understand and apply the entire Hermetic philosophy in order for it to actually work for you. But I've seen where some of these ministers who have walked away from religion, they shifted their manipulation into where they're talking about, well, the universe is going to bring this to you, just show love and just think of positive things, and the universe is just going to bring those things to you. And they have that BS going, right? Not giving people the full, doing the same thing, not giving people the full story, giving them the happy-go-lucky kind of story. And some of them, I'm not saying all of them, but some of them have found that method of manipulation that's transferred from one form of speech, transferred God to universe, and just really pushing on a false sense of the law of attraction of the Hermetic laws. So a person who would say that ministers are leaving for that reason, I would say that is all that they're seeing. They're seeing those that small percentage of those who are seeing that avenue to make money, especially if they haven't been able to do it on a larger scale in the other format. But I do agree with what Kevin said. For the most part, you're not going to make money in freeing people from religion. That is, like, in all honesty, I've probably hurt myself financially speaking out more so than I would have if I would have just stayed in my corner and just keep talking about leadership and talking about business and credit repair and finances and relationships. I would be making way more money and have a bigger following if I stayed in that corner instead of talking about freeing people from this religious enslavement. Because So no one truly does this because they are looking to grow their popularity, grow their fame, and grow their finances. You definitely have to figure out other ways of having finances, because this is not the path to that. Not right now. Definitely not.
Absolutely. And like Lorenzo said, you're going to be taking a pay cut and putting yourself in a position to be judged, ridiculed, even attacked. Guys, I mean, watching what I have gone through should be enough for people who are considering this. And this is why a lot of people don't do it. A lot of ministers and preachers who do understand now that the Bible is not factual, they still don't leave because they don't want to lose their income. And I'll tell you that for me, that wasn't even a factor. I didn't even consider any of that. Number one, I wasn't making money off the church, but I didn't have anything to lose in terms of what people thought of me. All I knew at that moment was that I've been teaching people something that was wrong, and all I cared about was teaching them what was right. I didn't even consider the rest. I actually didn't even know they would respond like that. So in terms of I hate you, you a devil, and I thought they would listen. I thought that all the time they have saw me and knew I was sincere in my preaching and my ministry, everything that I've done in the church, and believe me, I did a whole lot now. I thought that they would say, okay, this is Kevin now. Let's listen to what he's saying. No, sir, no, ma'am. That is not what happened. I got immediately put on the side of an apostasy or apostate and all these type of things, just like their programming tells them to do. Okay, nobody's exempt, and you'll find out real quick, regardless of how much your congregation tells you they love you. Man, as soon as they love Jesus more, believe me, just so you understand that. Of course, we're still waiting on the call. She's trying to get in, guys, so she's trying to get into the room, into the chat, so she can, of course, give you guys her story.
So, and let me also add something else to what we're doing, because I need people to understand that there's some things that me and Kevin and Josh and them were talking about, and I'm sure that there's going to be other people that come along. We talked about, Kevin was speaking earlier about how we can't do this by ourselves. And yes, finances is vital, but also I need to understand how a movement occurs. A movement is usually not, it doesn't gain ground or gain speed or develop because of the people who laid the groundwork. Actually, it is the number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 26 person that actually builds the movement, right? So it is all of the people behind those leaders that will actually develop the movement. So as we go forward, we are going to need all kinds of help. As many of you guys know, part of my movement is to nation build in Botswana, which I met a great contact today, and yesterday, and we met again today. But that takes people. It takes way more than just me. I can't do it by myself, so it takes more people. What me and Kevin are doing, and we're gonna rope Ricky in too. But some of the projects that we have in mind, and Josh, you too, you know it. But what we have in mind, it's going. We may initiate it, we may talk about it, but it's going to take you guys. It's going to take your finances. It's going to take your education. It's going to take your intelligence. It's going to take your will, and most importantly, it's going to take your actions in order for what we have in mind to be able to materialize. And when we do this, that's when you will really see a movement start to build, because people will start to feel comfortable. The more and more people who are within the body of our movement, then others will feel comfortable because they'll have a home, a safe haven. They'll have a place where other people are there and they'll actually feel safe. And then as we do that, more and more people feel like they're free to go ahead and follow their mind instead of just their heart. So I just wanted to add that in there that, hey, this movement, because I saw some people talking, they were saying things about the movement. It's about y'all. It's about how much y'all do. Because trust me, the number 26, the number 30th person at Facebook, they're doing more to build that company than the number 1 guy, than the number 1. They just got to start. Absolutely. But it's the ones down the line that's building.
Right. And, someone has said earlier that true leaders don't create followers, they create other leaders. And so when you think of that term, think about the church. Most people who go to church, they end up going to that same exact church for their entire lives. There are literally old men and old ladies that were born into that church and still going. If leaders create leaders and that pastor was a leader, why aren't those people off running their own churches or doing more in the community instead of just sitting there taking notes every single Sunday, right? Every single time. Why aren't we creating leaders? And why isn't the goal to create leaders? If you look at the word government, okay, it means to govern the mind, to control the mind. anytime you're looking to create a government, you're looking to control people's minds. And these churches are governed. It's the perfect pyramid scheme. Okay, you have a pastor and the first lady, if he has a first lady, and then that's going to go down to the deacon, right? Then that's going to go down to such and such and such and such, and then as you know it, then you're going to have the congregation, and they all are higher up, and people are trying to work themselves to get to those levels. Again, this is a government, and so we're not trying to create leaders. This is why people within religion are called sheep, because sheep do what? Follow, right? We don't want to be sheep, guys. We want to think for ourselves, okay, and learn how to take the information that we learn and that we think to move forward in our lives without letting somebody else control us with half truths or half information just because it sounds good. All right, so we're trying to get to a place in our life where we can have a really strong foundation. I wanted to say, just consider the amount of people that are on right now. We probably got about 300 people watching that we can account for. Now, we're also on iTunes and Stitcher because this is a live podcast, okay, a real podcast, not just a YouTube podcast. But basically, if you account for just YouTube and Facebook alone, 12% of my followers followers are actually watching right now and contributing to this just by listening. Not even donation, just sitting here listening. Only 12%. Many people don't watch the show every week. Many people check it out when they check it out. Say what, Josh?
It's 0.12. I gave you statistics as far as the donators or supporters.
Okay, yeah. So
financial backers, 0.12.
0.12. That's not even 1%, guys. DID. Right. Thank you very much for the donation. That's not even 1%, guys. So just keep this in mind, because someone, I posted this shirt, of course, yesterday, and someone said, man, Kevin, you a money-making machine. Actually, no. It's funny because you got, in order to try to further what we're doing, we try to create clothing and things of that nature for people who want something in terms of, because a lot of people don't have the funding to be able to just give you money. So if they can buy a shirt they can wear, buy their children's shirts from you, and then that money could then help the mission. That's what we're trying to do. Give people a way that they don't have to worry about, where they're going to get the next shirt that goes on their back. They can buy a shirt from me and still be giving to the same movement. So that's what this stuff is, guys. An attempt to, mediate the problem of course, people coming away from religion that are hurt and honestly skeptical or and don't want to give due to all the money they've already given away and lost. So we do understand that. So. And we try to meet you guys in the middle. It'd be unfair for us to ask you guys who just simply walked away from church and still trying to get your feet up under you for a donation. We would be crazy to be upset with you for not giving that. Of course, a lot of you guys want to make sure I'm on the up and up before you decide to do that. That's fine with me. But there are people who have been watching for a long time who have yet to contribute, but tell me often how much they, are inspired or helped by what we do. We're just saying that if you are inspired and helped, make sure that you don't forget to contribute to the people that are helping you. And that's whoever's on this feed, okay? So, or any feed for that matter, because we have to understand that it's going to take all of us, a group effort, to create a better world. That's a good question, Dirty Water. BeTheEvolution.org. www.BeTheEvolution.org is where you get all of these products. And of course, Born Winners is the newest one. I told you guys to come to the show tonight, and I was going to have you guys a free gift. Guys, this promo code is Born to Win. That's all caps. When you go to the Be The Evolution website, I haven't given this anywhere else but right here, BeTheEvolution.org. The promo code, when you spend at least $50, it's only going to cost you $40. So just think about that. That means that you're getting 2 shirts and you're saving about 10. You're saving 10 to 15 bucks on the shirt, on the second shirt. So that means you can get a children's shirt with your shirt. Okay, so. Or 2 shirts for you, or 1 to give someone else. So if you go to the site tonight, moving forward, until I let you guys know that this promo is off. Well, we're thinking of doing this for a week, depending on how it goes. Okay, but it's Born to Win. Remember, number 2 is in buying 2 shirts. All right, so that can work with getting bands. Of course, the Where Was Jesus During Slavery bands. I got the red and black on right now at Be The Evolution. You can get shirts and bands that add up to $50 and then save that $10. So. Again, trying to do whatever we can do to help you guys out. Let's see here. So we're still waiting for the queen to come in, guys, to give her.
Still waiting, Kevin?
Yeah, we're still waiting on someone to come in. So yeah, if there's anything you'd like to say, Ricky, you're more than welcome.
Well, yeah, I just want to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying about supporting the channel or supporting you. Period. I mean, we're in a capitalist society. I mean, I'm going to order the shirt, bro, like that. The slogan is great. I love it.
Thank you very much.
I'm gonna order my son on one, so we definitely gonna rock that.
Absolutely.
But you have to support yourself, man. I'm a pretty good character. I kind of do watch people and see kind of if they in it for the money. And some of the times these people are. I just see some of the way that they move and see some of the things they do and some of the things they say. I really don't trust them too much as far as just giving them money. But I mean, you've always been genuine. I mean, you reach out to people, have people on your show. You don't try to take all the shine and spotlight for yourself. So that those are characteristics of a true leader and someone who's really trying to help and not just pad their pockets up. Like Coach was saying, this is a very uncomfortable position to be in. Like even myself, I work in corporate America, and at my job, people love me. They think I'm just like the nicest guy ever. But they saw me on this live stream right now, or they can go to my Facebook and see any of some of the videos that I put up. They probably have a totally different perspective. But because they know me, because they've talked to me, because they know what I stand for and how I present myself in the public, at work, they may take it a little bit different. But if they just didn't know me, they never had a conversation with me, they never spoken to me, and they just went and watched some of my videos, they're like, man, this guy's talking crazy, talking ridiculous. But because they know me and they know what I stand for, and they know how I carry myself and what I stand on and what I'm really about, they can't. It kind of confuses them. They're like, okay, I would expect you to be totally different than who you are. So, but it's just belief. That's it. It's not. It doesn't determine what type of person you are. So, stepping away from religion, I'm just free. Not free to do whatever I want. I'm free to live my life without thinking, I'm going to hell or for doing something that I really. I mean, I'll give you an example. I used to, and we're just talking about, we're going to talk about like some molestation and things like that, or sexual things later. But like, I would be worried about masturbation. Like, I would be sitting at home trying, like, I'm like, I ain't out, like, just being promiscuous and having these different partners. Like, I went years being abstinent, like years, like 3, 4, 5 years in a row being abstinent. But I would be like, as a Christian, I would be trying not to masturbate. You know what I mean? Like, and this is the thing. Like, I'm like, this is crazy. Like, when I think back, I'm like, that was crazy. But like, you think you're a bad person for doing things that other people are like, they're doing way worse things, and you sitting here like stressed out and probably putting yourself in this damage, and you're not even doing anything that's not unnatural. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Naturally, you're thinking something's wrong with it. So that's all I got to say on that.
No, again, that definitely happens. It makes you feel guilty, for things like that. And I'm with you, man. Again, this is what I'll be talking about, having a religious mind and still not being able to break away from the religious mind, even though you broke away from religion. When you're religious, you're supposed to be living a certain type of lifestyle, and then whenever you walk away from religion, you kind of still feel bound to that because you've been doing it for so long. You've gotten good at, I guess doing what you thought what you thought was the word of God was suggesting for you to do. I mean, honestly, man, I've been free from religion for about 2 years, almost 3 years now, and I honestly still feel kind of bound up in ways like getting out in public and like drinking in front of people and doing things that a pastor shouldn't do. Like, that stuff actually bothers me, like to do that in front of people, because I haven't been doing that for so many years. And I've been, I guess, programmed into looking at these things like they're bad, like going out to like places and dancing or something like that, just going out and having a good time. I don't do that stuff. I'm a homebody. Sometimes I very rarely even leave the house if I'm not going to speak somewhere or something like that. I mean, I'll just stay cooped up because what's out there, you know what I mean? And so I'm to a place now where I'm like, man, I really need some balance. I got to start getting out more and just doing something, man. The other day I went to record, and the session, he had too many people in on the session,
So I stepped out and I went to a bar and I sat down for a minute and it was just like totally empty in there. So it was like really a bad move. So it was like the worst time to take control of your life. So I'll do that again on another day. I wish I lived in Atlanta somewhere near Lorenzo or something. Me and him would definitely go out. But I don't know anybody like that here. So that just makes it even more difficult. But just to say that, man, I understand exactly what you're saying, Ricky. And before we continue, I want to give a special thanks to the people who donated while you were in your dialogue. So let me just find that real quick. I screenshot them. So thank you very much, Brooklyn Kings. He says, keep refreshing our minds, brother. Indeed. Thank you very much, Tim Thomas. Say I'm just doing my part. Man, that's awesome. That's all we all can do, brother. We can only be ourselves, and asking you to do any more, any less than being yourself is setting ourselves up and you up for failure, brother. So thank you for doing your part. Terry T. McCullough, thank you very much for your donation. He says, I know it's hard, but hang in there. Indeed, brother. Indeed.
Yeah, you can't come to Atlanta.
You always tell me that.
I wanted to ask a question. I'm still helping the young lady get on, but I wanted to ask you guys, do you guys think of, because I think most of our audience is more across the free thinker / spiritual and I guess that route, conscious or woke, whatever the phrases we use, terms.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there is a common goal in mind, or do you think there is a goal at all? Because I'm not sure what the purpose or what the goal is behind. I know, like, I can look at a religious organization and I can say their mission is to promote their religion and or wait for their God to come back, or some kind of assignment. I don't know if there's a purpose behind this. Behind these groups to actually mobilize and do anything. So when you guys try to go out here and do something, I don't know if they even think of that as something that they're a part of, or if it's just maybe they think of it as separate from their own personal interest to even support. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And I would say that and of course I always say everybody else go first, but I'll go first and give you guys a go at this. But I absolutely believe that the answer to your question, Josh, is religion and how religion operates. They have had a long time to create the program that they have. So many people are contributing to religion, not even realizing that they are literally contributing to religion. They're taught to spread the word about their God to get people saved, but to a company, they're promoting an agenda, right? And this is just how the words get flipped. This is what I mean by manipulation. I can get you to promote my agenda by telling you that God requires it of you, and then you'll do it. So when you're looking at, and of course, religion takes on a lot of positive roles as well, even though we know on a large scale, religious leaders do manipulate the funds that come in. They falsify it. They don't allocate the funds correctly. They use the money on themselves and for their own agendas. But we do know that some positive comes from the church. So when people see the church out feeding people, this, of course, provokes them to say, I either want to go to that church or contribute to this church so we can help more people. But in fact, what you're looking at is a very small percentage of the money is actually being used to help people. But again, you're looking at a religion or a construct that, or again, we call cult, anything that means culture, right? So you're looking at a cult that has many, many years of this type of spreading the gospel, so to speak, and manipulation in with it. For us, walking away from religion, to have the idea and the mindset of where do we go from here, it's just typically not the first thing on your mind. Most of us are just so free to be away from religion. And then we try to talk about it with the people that we care about the most, or even post about it. But in terms of it being a real goal, like what are we trying to do? Who all should be involved in this goal? I don't think, I agree with you, Josh. I don't think we've taken the time to actually think about who should be helping in this goal. And the answer is, if you're not religious, then you should be helping to create a better world that is non-religious. That's whether you're atheist, if you are spiritual, okay, if you connect with the universe, if you look at other principles that help you in your life, and you don't say I don't consider myself as such an atheist because I do believe in something, right? Then you still should be helping, in religion, because we do see the problems that associate with religion. So the help is needed from everyone, really. But at the same time, what do we do now? That's not a thought that's on the mind of most people walking away from religion. We're frankly just happy to get away from it And again, when people like myself, Lorenzo, begging for change, you, Josh, go to people with this new goal in mind, it's new information to them. And then even in hearing it, it's like, do I really want to take my time doing it? I just kind of want to live my life. Some people walk away from religion. They have no desire to even talk about religion no more. They say, listen, I finally got my peace. And so I don't even want to speak on it and cause any type of drama in my world. I'm totally done with it. So you have a lot of people who think that way. I think that the people who are really pushing into religion and helping people are people who were really religious and constructive and put forth a lot of effort while they were in religion, because that's just the type of people they are. They're gonna always want to help and make people better, regardless of what they believe in and what they're using to try to make the world better. Whether that be literature or their own thoughts and things like myself and Lorenzo, of course, begging for change does. That'll be all I say on that topic. I won't take it too long. What do you have, Lorenzo?
And, I've thought about this for years. Let me rephrase that. I've thought about that question there, Josh, for decades, to be honest. Because, and I'm going to say I thought about it for decades, mainly because I started my journey away from religion when I was 9 years old and was completely free by the time I was 21. But the thing about it, of course, there was no internet back then, and you didn't have this connection, the ability to connect with people. But in studying the history of all cults that became religion, because all religions came from a cult, if you look at the Christian history, when the so-called Yeshua character stopped walking around, right, you still had about 300 plus years of it not really being organized, where you have people who claim the same thing, the same goal, the same belief system, the same mindset. You have the Gnostics, you have the Arians, you have the Orthodox. One of the things that pissed off Constantine was the fact that you could walk through the streets of Rome, and on this corner you got this Christian saying that Jesus was a Trinity, and you got this Christian over here saying that he was just a man. You got this one over here saying that he was half man, half God, and you got this one over here saying he was full God. So you had so many different conflicting things that Constantine finally had to begin the organization of, right? So when we fast forward and we look at all others that have split from the Christian church, they eventually formed a organization. Even those ones from the 60s who started to become conscious, especially in the Caucasian community in America, they began to start the universalisms and the unity churches, where it was more of a universal consciousness. We're not going to say that there is one God, there is a God for all, and animals have spirits and souls. They come together. So, are you breathing heavy on me, Josh? But anyway, but at some point, the conscious community is going to have, it is starting to gel in certain areas. If you look at the lighthouse in itself, what the lighthouse is doing is that Jamar is organizing, and he's organizing centered around understanding the Egyptian, African spiritualism, primarily with a focus on Egypt. And he's normalizing it into an organization where people can do something. I saw somebody on one of the lighthouse groups. I don't know if it was the Lighthouse or Lighthouse Atlanta, where they were cleaning up roads on the highway. So they're becoming active in society as an organization. At some point, all the conscious community will fracture into different organizations, and they will have to, simply because people have to belong to groups. We've been tribal ever since man was created. We're tribal. We group together with like-minded people. So, but we have to provide some avenue for these like-minded people to gain understanding of their conscious mind, their freedom. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be codified. It only needs to be codified to the effect that you have the freedom to think however you want to think and believe however you want to believe with respect to other people. So even though there's not a clear one goal, I do believe that there are certain groups, certain leaders who are formulating their goal, their organization, and those people who are attracted to that will attract to it, and those organizations will grow. Now, what they do with the organization, do they codify it? Do they start manipulating it like religion has been manipulated over the centuries? We're not going to know. That's a 200, 300, 500-year process. So I do, but as for me and Kevin, That's for me in my house. Not just. But as far as what we've been talking about, it's really about what I like from what the Babylonians had when they had the Temple of Learning, where it wasn't about following what I say as much as just we're coming to gain and understand from one another, more of a mastermind type situation, so than a religion type situation. But it's going to take organization because we're going to have to fight the mindset of these larger organizations, governments, and all these other organized thugs. We're going to have to be able to stand against those. Think about it. The black community is not able to eat and dine in America because we're not organized to come to the table and with our own food. So as a conscious community, we're going to have to organize and come to the table with our own food and not having to beg somebody else for it.
That's true.
Or hope that somebody's gracious enough for it. So in that respect, we'll organize, but I know we will do it in such a way where people are free to be just open-minded and free thinkers, not, I studied the Hermetics, so you dang sure got to study the Hermetics if you come in here. Nah, you ain't got to study that. You can study whatever you want to study. We just agreeing to make the world a better place in a certain way that we believe we should make the world a better place.
Absolutely.
That's my take.
All right, great. And I'll say this really quickly. Thank you very much, Dirty Water. Dirty Water says, I don't think that we've come together enough as a group to decide on a common long-term goal yet, but I feel it will happen with time. I actually agree with that. There just hasn't been enough time. And don't get me wrong, myself and Josh, we tend to fight. We try to fight off or ward off our impatience because it's like we've been at this for a little while, but we consider people like Dr. Ray Hagins and Lorenzo who've been at it for most of Dr. Ray has probably been at it longer than I've been alive. You see what I'm saying? So it's just not going to happen as quickly as we would like for it to. Listen, you got religion that still makes people feel guilty to even speak out loud and say they don't believe in it. When you have millions of people who don't even subscribe to these beliefs but are still afraid to say it out loud, it's going to be hard to mobilize with this fear in mind. So just keep that in mind. And I don't want to go any longer without bringing on our special guest who's going to, obviously going to talk to you guys about some of the things that has happened to her and her experience in church. So what I'll do is bring her on, let her tell you a little bit about herself, and then we'll go from there. Welcome in.
Hey, can y'all see me?
Absolutely, we can see you.
I'm sorry, it's so dark. I'm on break.
I understand. That's why I wanted to hurry up and get to you so you can have time to speak.
Yeah, hi guys. I'm Stephanie. Just brief. I grew up Christian. Went to a Christian school my whole entire life. Just maybe about a year, just kind of came into new observation. I don't know what to call it. I don't know, what stamp to put on it. But anyways, but how I got there, it just all kind of came together based off of like what I endured growing up. And, of course, molestation is running rapid in the Christian community, and no one talks about it enough. Like, we old Catholics do this, that, and the third, and these are Christians who say this, but it's running rapid in the Christian community as well. So where do I start? Anyways, so pretty much I went to a Christian school every day, 13 years of my life, and about 17, I started to go, like, about to graduate and all that good stuff, getting ready to graduate. So I didn't have to do as much work. So I was able to, like, walk around the school, and it was like the school and the church together. So, you had the church here, the school in the back. And I was allowed to, go help the secretary, go help the principal, go help a few other teachers, and also would assist the head pastor, with whatever he needed, anybody, whatever they needed or whatever. And so, he would hug all the women in the church. And growing up, I saw this, and I didn't think much of it at the time. And, so he would hug them and give them a little kiss on the cheek or wherever, the kiss will land.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to his office one day, and I would, give him a hug, thanks, Pastor, I'm on my way out. And he would hug me and give me a kiss on the cheek. And one day, it was just like a hug, and, the kisses became closer and closer and closer, every time. And you don't think this is the man of God. Of course, he's not trying to try nothing, of course. And till one day, I had sat in his office. I had went through some horrible. I had a bad experience with a breakup or something like that, and I was just sitting in his office crying, and we were talking, and same thing as I was leaving out today. And this hug was a hug, and it was a kiss on the mouth, like direct, like. And I knew something was wrong, but I didn't think too much of it because, like I said, this was the man of God, So, of course, this had to be an accident of some sort or whatever like that. And anyway, went about my day, and I don't get offended a lot. So I think that's what happened. I didn't get offended because I don't get offended quickly. So the next time, which maybe a couple of weeks had passed, I went back. And this time it was a kiss with the tongue. And it was like at that moment, I was like, whoa, I still didn't say anything to him. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. Mind you, I was 17 years old, and I just kind of held it in. And I actually didn't want him to feel bad about it or think that I would go and tell my parents or anything like that. And then I knew if I told my parents that it would be horrible. You know what I mean? But as a kid, all of this stuff is just going through your head, like what to do, you don't know. And I remember telling a close friend about that one incident. She was my best friend at the time, and she had actually said that it had happened to her as well. And it was just like a closed secret that my pastor just literally tongue kissed me, and I just was frozen from that moment. I even just my life from that moment just kind of took a total different direction. From that day, I had to graduate high school, of course, and I had to be around him, and I had to, you know what I'm saying, keep it in, because for me, it was like, what would it look like? Me telling my parents and knowing how my dad was, it was just, I knew it probably would have been bad. Anyway, but he's passed away. He's no longer here, and I've finally built up the courage enough to tell my mom, only because, of course, I haven't been to the church in 2 years, and I have a daughter now, and so. And I mean, that's not the only, molestation case from the church. It was also another guy at the church. Growing up when I was younger, and my daughter, he would speak to my daughter, and it would make me cringe. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that I had to be around these people that were this way. Not saying all the guys, were like that, but still had to deal with that and sit in that all that time, and it didn't affect me until I had my daughter. And it was kind of like, do I want these things to happen to her, or how many other people has this happened to, and we're just too afraid to say something about it because we're afraid that someone's gonna judge us or whatever, I really don't care now, because now my mom knows, and I don't know how she feels about it. We're really not on the best terms, pretty much, because I'm no longer Christian. But it's a lot of women who deal with this type of stuff. It's a lot. Like, I can't stress a lot of women. And I heard you mention it on the last show. It's just time for us to start speaking out about it, because the more we talk about it and the more it's out, the more we can deal with it. And our children have to grow up in this. And, I know stuff may have happened to people before me. And if they had said something to stop it, it may not have happened to me. You know what I'm saying? So that's just how I feel like it's the time to end it, because we still have little girls at church with these guys,
Absolutely.
We still have molesters at the church right now at this moment, you know what I'm saying, that are doing things to little children. Or I mean, of course I was 17, but I was like, if I had the time to tell the course my life took just from that one thing of the pastor, and now it helps me because it's like, if the man of God could do that thing for me, it couldn't be that true that, oh, God is just this fearful, because you didn't fear. And of course, you're supposed to know more than anybody this bad thing you did is going to have some type of repercussion. So if you did it and nothing happened, what are you preaching? What
Now,
are you
see,
teaching?
even with that right there, the sheer fact that you're even able to think about that now, but not then, it just proves the level in which your brain has evolved. This is why we say critical thinking is something that is next to impossible for a religious person. Again, when you look at the pastor, you said this pastor, you thought the world of him. You thought that he was chosen by God. You thought he was anointed, right? And touch not thine anointed, right? And so this man is kissing you. He's getting closer and closer to your mouth. You feel uncomfortable, but you can't even tell this man you feel uncomfortable. Had this been any person else, not your pastor, would you have told him you were uncomfortable?
Yeah, I've beat down plenty of guys for stepping.
And see, just the sheer fact that this man has a position and he stands in front of you every single Sunday, Wednesday, however often you're going, and he is your teacher, he's your parents' teacher. These are things that's going to make you say, you know what, I don't even know what to say or do. And now that it's happened, he's kissed you or whatever, in your mind, you're still thinking, protect him. Again, touch not thine anointed. And then, of course, the Bible says if you don't cover somebody, then you are just as guilty as they are. You're not supposed to expose each other in Christianity. Yeah. You're supposed to go to your brother and attempt to cover them, which is like crazy, because how are we going to expose this stuff if we don't expose it? And the problem is, why not, knowing that this is a big deal, knowing that not just women, but children, male and female, go through this. Why don't these churches come out and say, we need to make sure that we stop molestation in this should not be happening in the church? Why don't we do classes where we can understand how to spot a rapist, how to spot a molester? I'll be the first to tell you, I do not have a degree in psychology. I don't have a degree in behavioral science, but I will tell you this: the people that, like the government, FBI, these high levels of police, they actually employ people who do not have degrees, but are very good at reading body language, understanding behavior and how people act to know what you're dealing with. And if you go to church, if you're sending your child to church and you haven't taken the time to try to understand these qualities, then you could be putting your child in a very horrible position. And you've taken no thought that this can be going on in your church. This is sad, guys, because we got to stop holding these people in high regard as if they are incapable of raping someone. We see this all the time, man. Like, people are raping our children, and we're not making this the priority to end this crap. We should be doing classes on how to spot a freaking rapist. Guys, we do understand that these people are criminals, and criminals think in a certain way. Thank you very much. I cannot understand the name, but thank you very much for that donation. That's really helpful. But guys, we have to take the time to make sure that we understand the attributes associated with these manipulators and these molesters. Please understand that a molester or a rapist, they're always thinking in their mind, for the most part, to protect themselves. Okay, they're going to try to do this stuff subtly, not in front of people. She said that she noticed he hugged all the women. That's a sign, right? When your preacher, your man of God, your ministers, your youth pastor, I don't care who it is, watch them. Watch how they look at the children. I watched this study about how to spot a rapist and how, like, the mind of a rapist. And these people use platforms like being a preacher, being a teacher, in order to get closer to children. When you have a preacher that says, hey, I got some work that your child can do for me, they can come over to the house, cut the grass, and I'll pay them. These are things that should concern you. When you have people who say, I'll give your child a ride to rehearsal, these are things that should concern you. Hey, let me babysit your child. Hey, your child don't have a father in the home. I like to go around and be a father to all the children. I'm not saying this makes them a molester, but these are things that should concern you about grown adults. And even if they're 17, 18, 19, looking to work with your children, anybody who's willing to give their own special time to work one-on-one with your children, These should be things that concern you, and you should want to know how these people are and why they want to spend this time with your children. They're raping our children, guys, and this does not just happen in the church. But like she said, why the church? You're supposed to be a man of God, called.
Yeah.
How are you able to deceive people? And then, of course, people can say, well, it doesn't stop people from being manipulated because the Bible warns you about false prophets. But don't the people in the congregation pray to a living God? Why is the living God not telling these parents that their child is being freaking raped? Why? The pastor can give a woman, a man or woman that prays a word. God laid it on my heart. I felt in my spirit. We'll say all this crap, but he don't ever tell you when your child being raped, right? And we got to start thinking about this stuff. Why are they able to get away with it? And then the problem is, once it's found out, they want to protect the preacher because they think this dude is called. That's the saddest part about it. Why can't you immediately call the police on this man? Why can't you immediately do what you have to do, what you would do to any other rapist, but you're not going to do that to him because he's a preacher or a minister? That's why we got to stop this mess. I don't care who you pray to. You touch my child, you dead. I'm telling you now. I don't care who your God is. You better hope your God show up and protect you, because I swear to you, please don't touch my children. And that's how we should take this mentality to protect our children. If you have children, you should know how to protect them and know what signs to look for and be watching these people. I'm not saying go around and start judging people and calling them molesters, but you better start watching who you're dealing with, because we know this is a real thing. It's almost like, why is there still not any metal detectors in front of these schools? As many schools are shot up. Why don't they have a metal detector? Why don't they have police armed at the door to keep people from getting in these schools? When are we going to start really trying to counter these things? It's just sad. And like she said, this is not the first time. Another brother in the church did the same thing to her when she was even younger. Someone spoke up when we first went live today and said that they were raped by a minister or a preacher. And many of you, some of you, while she was talking, you were saying the same thing happened to you guys. The people, the victims of it, allow it to happen. And then the people who are their parents, their loved ones, allow it to happen because they're not paying attention. And all of y'all think that these people are good people because they got a microphone in their hand and they seem like they want to help people. You have to understand the mind of a criminal. If you are a rapist and you love children and you are turned on by children, you're probably going to want to be in an area that allows you to be around children, even if it's just hugging them and grazing up against them. Because we know this stuff starts small and builds, guys. We have to start taking into consideration the people that's around our children. I just wanted to say that really quickly. Continue, sweetie.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, but no. Thank you, guys. I have to get back. I wish I had a lot more time to really get in detail, but I do have to go. But women, I just want to say, speak up. I have a daughter, and I will go to bat for my children no matter what. And it's still happening. It's still happening. The guy is, even though I don't go to that church no more, that same guy is at that church right now, and I don't know what to do, but I'll figure it out. But we still need to start speaking, no matter how crazy no matter how crazy it sounds, it has to get out because it's been happening for years. And the older generation, like you said, either they didn't say anything or they covered it up. But I'm speaking on it, and I'm going to keep speaking on it until it's less in the church. But I gotta go, Kev. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Lorenzo. I don't know the other guy, but I follow him on Facebook. I listen to him too.
Awesome.
So thank you guys so much.
Thank you for your courage, sweetie. Thank you for your contribution to our mental freedom. So absolutely.
All right. Thank you for your courage.
In the comments, I just put the hashtag #MeToo at church. I would love. I would love to see you and any other woman that's listening to this chat to run with that, with Me Too at church.
Me Too at church.
So that other people will feel, because I mean, it's a real thing. It's a real thing that happens over and over again. I mean, the church. Huh?
No, go ahead, bro. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But there are so many places that a woman is supposed to feel safe. Church, police, family, schools. You're supposed, and hospitals with your doctors. You're supposed to feel safe in those environments. And the church and your family is supposed to be the 1 and 2 that you feel like 1A and 1B that you should feel safe in. but the fact that you're not is crazy. And I would love to see a hashtag Me Too at church so that people will start to recognize this. Because when I was younger and my kids were younger and my father-in-law was living with us because he was still into the church, we still went with him to this church he had been a part of forever and a day, and he was old. So we went. But I almost came to blows with one of the associate pastors because I saw him letting my daughter walk and stand between his legs. And then once I said something, I found out that this man had been, people knew that about him, that he liked the little girl. And they tried to back him up. And this is another aspect of it. Other than what the Bible says, people have this sense of loyalty to these people, these emotional attachment, because he was part of a family that's been in Marietta for like 15, 20 generations, since, way early slavery, they've been there. One of the primary families that initiated the city that I live in, they've been there. They named that's their slave master name. And so they've been a part of that community. So nobody wanted to go against them because of how big their family was, how powerful their family was, and how many people were emotionally attached to this family. And people do that with these pastors. They feel so emotionally attached to them, like, oh, pastor's a good person. It must be something that you did, or, oh, he got a thorn in his side and all this kind of stuff. And they make all these excuses because of their own emotions attached to it. But I love the fact, Queen, that you stood and said that, hell no, you're not going to take this. And, you're not going to take it for your daughter either. So, and this is something that women have to lead. Me, Kevin, Ricky, Josh can scream, hey, ladies, y'all come out, hashtag Me Too at church. All we can say is we got your back.
Yeah.
But we need y'all to actually speak up and speak out, even if it's something as simple as a hashtag Me Too at church. And I'm going to keep saying it so one of y'all make it real.
Me Too. But thank you guys. I got to go. See you later. Talk to you later, Kev.
Yes, man. It was an honor having you on. Listen, guys, like when this stuff happens, the first role that we try to play is the person needs help. And you're talking about a person who is raping your children, molesting women, doing all this stuff, making other people feel uncomfortable, even if he hasn't gotten to do it yet. And you're saying that person needs help. Forget the protection for the other people. But you do understand that although mass incarceration exists, prison is to help people like rapists. That's why they call it being rehabilitated. Okay, like they need some type of rehab, separation from the thing that they are addicted to, or total separation from people, period, because they like to rape people. Like, that's a real problem for me. You taking something from somebody that they did not give you. They tell you no, and yet you still touching them. They clearly don't want you and you touching them, or you manipulated them to make them feel like it's okay and they too young to understand. You see what I'm saying? So we have to get to a point to where this becomes a priority. If doctors were known for raping children and molesting children as much as preachers were, we would all take a new stance on it. And you wouldn't have parents just take their children to a children's doctor and just sit outside in the waiting room while their child is in there. But you will give your child to a pastor or a youth teacher or something like that, one-on-one, and let them spend time with your child. If you don't start training your kids, your children, how to understand when somebody's trying to rape them and what the warning signs is before somebody ever lays a hand on them, things that people say that may imply that they want more from you than they're leading on. We need to start teaching our children how to know and how to see these things themselves so they can come back and tell us. If you take your child to church and you still believe in literature, religious literature as the word of God, I get it. But if you're not teaching your child that you don't care how anointed a man is, how anointed a woman is, if they touch you, you better tell me. If you're not doing that, you're contributing to the problem of rape. You're allowing your child to not even know what being touched wrong is, or being talked to wrong is. You're allowing them to do this, and you have to think, yeah, you tell your child, if he touch you here, then it's bad. Don't you think that they know that? Don't you think the molesters know that? And they know if I touch your child there too early, they're already told to tell. They're going to get their rocks off however they can, even if it's by looking at that child. So if they have your child come over to the house and they got them doing something for them, and they might have your child pick up something or do something that puts their body in a compromising position just so they can look at them and get off on that. You understand what I'm saying? It's some dirty people out here. My daughter's 16. She's beautiful. She looks a little older. But my daughter has always gotten strange looks from dudes. I'm talking about this way outside of her age, even before she started to develop by way of like butt and breasts. You see what I'm saying? It's dirty people out there. Protect your children. I think that Ricky, you was about to say something a while ago.
Yes, Kevin. And the thing is, I know Lorenzo pointed out to me too for he emphasized on the women. It's got to be guys, because it don't just happen to women. It happens to everyone. And
Absolutely.
This is actually a problem in our community, period, not just the church. So it has to be. I know we're talking, we're emphasizing on the church right now, but it's happening in our community as a whole. I know of at least a dozen people because people tell me things that they don't typically tell everyone else, and because I'm pretty genuine and I people know I really care about them. They open up and they tell me things that they haven't told anyone, and I know of at least over a dozen people. I mean, by a family member, or would it be like a step family member or whoever, they've been put in this position. And like the young lady was saying, she was in church, and sometimes we're reluctant to tell someone because we think that if you go tell the pastor molested you, who's going to believe you? They're going to, they may not even believe that you did it. So that may be one of the reasons why you wouldn't say anything. And like she was saying, it's running rampant. Now, it's not just running rampant in the church, it's running rampant in our community. And I like what you said, Cam, because I didn't even think you had this mindset, man. You're so nice. But if somebody did something to my son that says my son, I'm with you, man. I'll skin him alive and I'll baptize him in a pool of alcohol. You know what I mean? So that's the way I got to deal with that. But the thing about molestation, man, it creates other, molesters. You know what I mean? So if someone's molested and they kind of deal with that and they suppress that and they don't get any therapy, they'll go forth and they may, do the same thing to someone else, especially a child as they begin to grow and develop. Mm-hmm. They often become offenders, themselves, and it's not really, their fault. They've been victimized because that trauma has gone untreated. They end up doing the same thing to someone else. So as everybody's being open, I'm a pretty open guy. I nothing like that ever happened to me in the church, but I was in foster care and it actually happened to me. I was molested in foster care. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, I don't know how in the world I've dealt with like most of the things I've dealt with in my life. It came out pretty stable. You know what I mean? So,
right.
A lot of traumatic experiences, man. So it's with them teaching this book and we've been taught to forgive everything. That's the danger, man. Some things are just not forgivable. You know what I mean? You forgive the person as a human being and says, look, okay, that's fine, but like you can't be anywhere near my children anymore. And then sometimes we put our children in danger with the church. We let church members take our children to the restroom, to the bathroom. We don't even know these people because we all share this same belief in this make-believe God. We trust them to do things that we wouldn't normally trust a person, and we let our guard down. That's what makes it so dangerous.
Dang, that was powerful right there, man. How many times have usher or whatever, we just hand our children to them and let them take our child to the bathroom, and some of them are too young to even use the bathroom on their own, so they gotta help them unbutton their pants or even touch their private parts and crap. You know what I mean? Picking them up to wash their hands, and you gotta have them reach the sink, and they probably all behind them. You know what I mean? And I've never been molested at all, but this is something that bothers me because I know people it's happened to. When I was a youth pastor, a girl had told me she was crying and she said, please don't say anything. So number one, she backed me into a corner and made me promise I wouldn't say anything before she told me. When she told me that a brother that I knew had sex with her or tried to have sex with her. So she was about 13, 14. This dude was older than me. I'm 22 at the time. Okay. So he touched her, was fingering her and stuff like that. But then he tries to have sex with her and it hurt her. So he gets mad at her. So she thought they was going together. Right? So now he won't talk to her no more because she wouldn't let him have sex with her because it hurt, right? So when she finally told me this, now, of course, I've promised her I wasn't going to say anything. I literally wanted to kill this man. I saw this dude every single Sunday, and I'm sitting here so mad because the very people I'm trying to protect and help, he touching them. And that just really, like if I don't even want to talk about it because it's like I still get angry about just thinking about that. But here's the first thing I did. Went to my pastor. Like, what's he going to do? You see what I'm saying? I went to my pastor in tears to pray for me because I was dealing with the spirit of murder. You see what I'm saying? And because I was told not to say anything. Now, I did tell my pastor because I didn't want to like keep it to myself and say, I told him however you wanted to handle it, that's however you wanted to handle it. And he didn't do anything about it in terms of telling anybody. At least I never heard of anything coming from it. However, I did have a friend, okay, who knew of this guy coming by their house a lot. And we were both adults or whatever. And so I called him and said, listen, bro, don't let such and such over your house anymore. Here's what he did. Because I knew I could trust him. And he said, yeah, dude have been coming over to the house. I'm going to talk to my daughter real quick to see if he done said something to her. And so when he asked his daughter, she said, yeah, he been trying to talk to her. But of course, she wasn't trying to hear it. But he acts like he's coming over because he, of course, has 2 sons that he likes to act like he hanging out with. You see what I'm saying? But while he's over there, he flirts with the daughters or the little sons, who's also way younger than him. You see, so he's over there, I guess, be a mentor to them or whatever, but he's still flirting with their sisters and stuff, who's their little sisters, and he's even too old to be hanging with them. But my point is, I should have did more with that. And see, this is why religion, of course, I say it took so much from me, and I try to fight so hard to get rid of this stuff because I know how manipulating and controlling it could be. Why wouldn't I go tell the authorities? This man was older than me, and he was touching a 13-year-old. You see what I'm saying? But in my mind, I was bound by the literature. A person is supposed to protect or cover their brother and not expose them. So I'm thinking all of this crap. And then, of course, I've promised her I wouldn't say anything. And now I want to be a liar because I'm a man of God, right? When I should have just said, I don't care that you told me that. I'm trying to protect you now. And that's all that matters at this point, you see. But she was like, well, no, I was willing and I was letting him touch me. It doesn't matter if you were willing. This man is 23, 24 years old. You 13. He manipulated you. You cannot take any fault for this. You see, but in her mind, she's like, well, I'll let him. That is irrelevant. You know? And even after that, another case happened where he had touched another person. He changed churches and he done touched another girl now. This girl ends up contacting me because she knew me from being on the same like mime ministry team as him. So she tells me about it. I call his mom immediately, the dude's mama, to tell him what the dude was doing. And when I told her that he was touching this girl that was in his dance team now, and he touching another little girl now that's about probably 15 or 16. And when I told his mother, she said, well, that girl's a hoe. I said, that's irrelevant. And you're doing nothing but, man, you're doing nothing but helping this man. If you're making excuses for what he's doing by calling her a whore, I don't care how many dudes she done slept with or how promiscuous she is. This man is a grown man and should not be touching no 15, 14-year-old girl. You see what I'm saying? And again, I told his mother at that moment, I was like, you're the problem. Like, obviously, I can't tell her she's the problem, but that's what I told her at that moment. He's the problem, obviously, but she's part of it by trying to make excuses by calling these women hoes because they were willing. That's irrelevant, you know? But again, he was a minister in the church. And I didn't do with that information what I should have done with it. So believe me, I know what manipulation can do to a person. And honestly, it does nothing but protect the person who's victimizing everybody. It does nothing but protect the predator by doing that type of stuff. And honestly, if this literature is perfect, how does this perfect literature protect the rapist? How? You know, you said this doesn't just happen in church, but we know geographically in this area, it's predominantly Christian. So why don't these other women and stuff who don't even go to church that still pray to Jesus, why don't they get the revelation that their cousin's raping their child, that their younger brother or brother is touching their child? Why don't they get a revelation from an all-powerful entity that this stuff is going on? It remains ambiguous to us and lost until we find out it happens. Why can't these gods tell us this stuff is going on? And then why does the literature seem to protect these people? Because our children, guys, are being raped. We know this is a fact. And that needs to be more done about countering this stuff. Like I said, number one, we need to do extensive classes or extensive training with our children so they know what they're looking for. But if you are a parent and you have children, you need to know what you're looking for so you can know who these people are by simply knowing their behavior, how they look, how long they look at some child. You see what I'm saying? And of course, people rape women, but children get this. This happens to them on a large scale, and we know this. And I saw a few people mention Eddie Long earlier. You know, he was known for what? Messing with a bunch of little boys. How does this stuff happen and continue? You see what I'm saying, guys? We got to do more to counter this thing because it's horrible. You're not considering what the child has to deal with for potentially the rest of their life after being raped, thinking it's their fault. Listen, and I'll let somebody else speak, but I speak to people like orally over the phone all the time, okay? And people who donate, of course, to my Patreon, I give them one-on-one conversations, of course. And I've talked to plenty of women and men who have actually been raped by preachers. You know what I'm saying? So I hear this stuff all the time. And what they tell me is they thought that they wasn't crying bad enough for God to intervene. Like they're taught that they must have somehow enjoyed this pain, enjoyed this rape because God did not intervene. And if they were truly, truly not wanting this to happen, God would have intervened. So they're taught that it's their fault, the reason God let them be raped. Just think about the psychology of this and have children questioning, do I really want to be raped or something? Knowing they don't. But when this God doesn't show up, then it must be because they really did like it, right? And just think about the psychology of that, man. This is what I get from 90% of people who tell me they were being raped. If you're on and you have been touched in that way or anything like that, if these type of thoughts came through your mind or were told to you by the people who are raping you or by people even after it that you told that to, please let me know. Just with a thumbs up or hit a 1 if you have heard similar stories or if someone has made you feel like it was your fault, the reason God didn't intervene for you and protect you. So please do that for me. And I'll let Lorenzo go ahead and speak some.
Of course.
Now, dang, bro, you said a whole mouthful there, because the level of the mindset of people to scapegoat the victim. It's kind of like how when a man reported that he was raped, but he got an erection, then all of a sudden you weren't raped because you got an erection. The idea that you didn't scream loud enough, you didn't cry loud enough, that God didn't hear you. If God is omnipresent, then according to the book, God was standing there watching it happen and said, this is a good porno flick.
Right.
That's the way you're going to put it. That if he's omnipresent, he watched it, so he enjoyed it. And he watched it and said, this is good. And of course, the stupid story is God took you through that so that you would have a testimony to tell somebody else, to help other women or men who have been through this situation. Which sound like a bunch of bull, because if that's the case, why not just stop it completely? If that's the situation, why does there need to be a testimony? Why does there need to be somebody who has to be there to help somebody else go through it, when it all could just be stopped if this omnipresent, omnipotent being who was standing there watching it happen was allowing it to happen? That makes no sense whatsoever. What we have is just some sick-minded people, right? Now, biologically, man is a screwed up design. When you consider the fact that at 12 years old, somewhere around 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old, your body comes into physical maturity to be able to reproduce. Your hormones and pheromones start to come out that attracts the opposite sex. When you are mentally and emotionally too immature to handle that. Every other animal on the planet is at the right mental instinctive state when their bodies hit reproductive maturity, except humans. Humans do not. And what that creates is this situation, that creates this whole situation where the people get in their mind that they see a small child and they think that that's good. That's appealing. It used to kill me, my middle daughter. I was delusional. I used to say, it's the diaper, because I don't know how that little girl developed a butt too early, and I was pissed. I was mad because I knew them vultures out there were going to be looking at her. Right, so of course I tried to dress her in such a way to make sure that nobody was looking, because I didn't want anybody looking at my little girl, because I'm not around her 24/7. So I, needed to make it work for me. But I tell you this, as a parent, what I taught of course I taught my children the basic thing. If somebody's touching you, if somebody is trying to corner you, I taught them all them physical things, right? But then after I had that experience with that nasty ass so-called associate pastor having my daughter stand between his legs, then I had to start teaching my children the verbal and the body language things that to look out for. That when a man when he's holding your hand just a little too long and sliding, when he lets go of your hand and he's sliding his hand down your hand, when he's looking at you a certain way, when he's staring at you in your left eye. I started teaching my kids these things. When somebody's staring at you in their left eye, what they're trying to do is connect with your emotions at that point, right? These are manipulation things that, unfortunately, I learned while I was in the military because of my job. But you learn how to deal and manipulate people. But it was, and I started teaching my kids those kinds of things, that when they try to mimic how you move, if you tilt your head to the right, you're right, they're going to tilt their head the same way and try to connect and create that rapport with you. And those kinds of body language, mind control things are some of the things we need to start teaching our children. That when somebody puts their hand on your back, if it's a man touching a woman's back, his hand needs to be high up on the back if he's not trying to convey anything sexual. But as the lower that those hands get, when they get to that small of the back, that's them trying to convey that they are trying to make you feel comfortable with the touch, right? And until we start, we have to teach our kids these things at the smallest age. We can't wait for them to be. My oldest is 22. I can't wait for 22 to start teaching her that. I had to start teaching her that when she was 5. I kept teaching it over and over again, bringing it up, making sure they know. And my son, same thing. I started teaching him because when I was a kid, and I'm gonna show my age a little bit, but I was a kid, and there was only one dude in the neighborhood who had an Atari. Right, he had that Atari. He was the only dude that had it, so all the kids used to go to his house and to play Atari. But that dude used to like to have you sitting between his legs when you played. He always made sure whoever was playing was sitting between his legs. He always touched them on their shoulder, And it wasn't until none of us kids knew what he was doing, but it wasn't until one of the older kids saw that, and it blew up in his face because the neighborhood wasn't going to stand for it, right? But so we have to teach our sons these same things when they're small, because a small kid, a small boy, doesn't know these things either. He's not looking out for that. He's not mindful of that. So we have to make them mindful by teaching them, these little things to look out for that the molesters do. And you're absolutely right, Kev. That's what I'm talking about by having a temple of learning, where you may walk in and that's what's being taught in this section of the building. Is we're teaching kids and teaching parents how to develop these kinds of understandings with their children, and teaching them that, hey, I have no desire to touch anybody's child, but don't leave your child. I don't want you leaving your child with me like that.
Like Lorenzo, a person with no agenda would say that. I don't want you to leave your child, because I don't want nothing being said if I don't have someone here with me helping me, right? No, I would never let you leave your child with me. Man, I'll tell you right now, man, anytime, years ago, of course, when my daughter was going to have someone come and spend the night, right? When she had someone come and spend the night, I would actually find somewhere else to go. I didn't even want to be there if she had another girl over there as company. You see, because I don't want nothing being said at all. I would always protect myself in that way. And I was very skeptical, so I didn't even let my daughter go to anybody's house that had a man there. So, I mean, she only went to single mothers' houses. That's just how I was, man. My daughter will tell you, bro, I'll be like, is any man live there? And she'll be like, no, ain't no man living. Let me talk to the mama first. Let me meet the mama first, and all of that. You see what I'm saying? At the time, of course, her mother would go over there, meet with the mother before she stayed anywhere. We want to know if there's any men in your house, period. And we want to know that type of stuff. You see what I'm saying? We have to take, and again, like you said, this man had people sitting between his legs and a child didn't understand. It took an older child to understand. But look at this. It doesn't have to be religion. We'll set our child in a fat man's lap just because he got a red suit on in December. You understand what I'm saying? Manipulation runs deep. This is no God. This is no religion, no religious book, no literature, no anointing. But we will put our child in a grown man's lap just because it's December and he got a suit on. You don't care who that man is. You don't know if he getting his rocks off by you sitting your child in his lap. You don't know if he enjoying that, sitting some child on his lap talking about, I want this for Christmas. And he's sitting there giving them a bunch of promises, knowing he ain't about to give them nothing. So and a lot of times y'all paid for it to have this man, to sit your child on this man's lap and take a picture of this crap. And you listen, if you do not understand how rape and stuff like that works on the victims, you know the victims suffer for this stuff a lot of times for their entire lives. Let me tell you about the people who do this crap. They fantasize, okay, about what they have done to people for their entire lives. So if you think putting these people in prison or whatever is like, okay, this is gonna destroy it. These people are in prison fantasizing about what they've done to people. When I was watching, of course, informative videos and doing a little studying this week on this topic, into the mind of rapists and molesters, I learned that molesters and rapists, they actually trade stories with each other in prison so they can get off on other people's stories. Now, I want you to think about this. It's lunchtime or whatever, and they're sitting there at the table. Probably nobody else is around but them, and they're sitting here exchanging stories about what they've done to children and women and just victims, period. And then going back to their cells and pleasuring themselves to the idea of what they've either done in the past to somebody's child or some victim, or what somebody else has done. Men, we have men on this show right now, brothers, in our lives, okay, of chasing women, right? Have we not had encounters that we later fantasized about, right? You've been with a woman that was absolutely beautiful, or the night just went perfect. She was good at what she did, or again, it just went great. For a long time after that, you can sit here and fantasize about the images that you saw, if she was really pretty to you or whatever, or the feeling that you felt, and literally sit there and talk about it with your friends and be like, bruh, trust me, she the one. And they'll fantasize about it and now want that girl or that woman because you've told them this crap. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, if we understand this happens in a healthy mind, why would we think this doesn't happen in an unhealthy mind?
Exactly. Any man that would sit up here and say that I don't even care if you married. If there was a girl back in the day and she did that thing that made you just like curl your toes, you gonna think about that. You gonna remember that. You can be 68 years from now, married, happy, joyful, you still gonna think about that. And and you're right, if you told your boys, and your boys know this girl, and when they see her, they gonna be looking at her in the way of thinking like, dang, I know what she about. And they gonna take that with them too, because if they got a mental image of her, they can put her in that situation that you describe and put themselves in there. So any man who would say that is a liar, and the fact that these unhealthy minds, these sick ones, they'll take that same thing and they'll do it over and over and over again. And when they're out, they look for it. They yearn for it. Yeah, some of them take medications and all that kind of stuff, but I don't care. They're looking for it. This is why we can't put ourselves in no position, but we can't put our kids in that kind of a position at all. I mean, I have a friend and didn't do the background check on a dude, turned out sex offender. He got a daughter. Crushed her. She was hurt. She's still hurt over that situation because she wasn't paying attention. She wasn't paying attention, and now she rectified it real quick. But the fact remains that she didn't check. And guys, here's the thing: you can go and find out if a person is a sex offender real easy. They're listed. They have to list themselves. So go. You got to check these people out, and I don't care if they are pastors. Go and check them out. Because if they got that history, they need to go. They need to go.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Rolling Thunder, for the donation. Actions speak louder than words. Like Lorenzo said, they need to go. No ifs, ands, or buts. We're not talking about having a community meeting to discuss how we're going to help somebody that just raped your freaking child. That's not what we're about to talk about. We're going to get rid of this person. This person needs to be removed from society so their sickness can't inflict any more pain on anyone else. They need to be removed. When your child becomes in danger, you should take no care for the person who is endangering your child. Ricky said a while ago, it's shocking to hear that from you, Kevin. You seem so nice. I'm a very nice guy. But if you think I won't separate you limb from limb, if you touch my children, you have in fact taken my kindness for weakness. You will be resting in pieces. And I literally mean it, pieces. Just like the man cut his concubine up after she had been raped and mailed her all across Israel, I'm going to try to do the same thing to you. You touch my child. I promise you. I will try to make you hurt way more than you ever hurt my child. I promise you, because this is something every person has to take, this type of mindset when it comes to protecting your child. Because if you don't, people are going to still do stuff to them. They need to know that touching your child is a death wish. They need to be thinking that. I promise you guys. Protect your children. That's the number one. That's if you got a child and that's not your number one priority in your entire life, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I just don't. You got a child in this world. Make sure you protect your children and give your children the information that they need to survive in this world. If you're not doing that, you don't need to be leading anybody. Honestly, if you can't teach your children, how are you going to teach another grown person?
That's exactly what it has to be, Kevin. That's exactly the mindset. But that has to be the mindset of the community, though. The community has to. We have to have a standard that says, look, we as a community is not going to put up with this, because if you do something like, you should fear what the community will do to you if you do something like that to someone's child. So just like Coach said, like, I don't even feel comfortable, even if it's a family member, says, hey, can you change my child's diaper? I'm like, no, I'm not changing your child's diaper. Like, I'm like, no. You know what I mean? Like I'm not changing anybody's diaper but my own child. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, even if I like got into a relationship with someone that had a small child and they asked me to change the diaper, I still wouldn't feel comfortable in that situation changing that child's diaper. You know what I mean? So I would just feel like, no, I'm not changing the child's diaper. I'm not taking them to the restroom. I don't feel comfortable in that type of a situation, because me as an average person, not as a preacher, not as a political figure, I don't want to have to defend myself against those type of charges. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to not put myself in that situation.
Absolutely.
Where I even, it's like, why do you even have to, like, no one follows this book. You know, this book says that you're supposed to keep yourself blameless. You see what I'm saying? So as a preacher, like, you're not even supposed to have someone come and present charges that you've done such a thing, and you got to be wise enough to say, hey, if a young girl comes to you for some type of advice or counseling, you need to have a witness in the room with you. You need to say, young lady, hey, I know this is going to be confidential, but this person right here is going to keep this close in-house, but I just need them here just as, you know, just as a third person, just in case anything doesn't go the way, you know, it should go. You know
just to say real quick, that's actually, just to say real quick, Ricky, that's actually biblical. The Bible tells you to go in twos whenever you're dealing with someone of the opposite sex. But it doesn't, now we know that the Bible speaks against homosexuality, but it doesn't tell you to go in twos when you're going to talk to the same sex, even though we know that this pastor can go to a man's house and just as easily have sex, just like he could go to a woman's house and have sex. But of course, the Bible tells you, so it doesn't look bad, take someone with you, because you don't want people talking and creating false stories about you that you have to fight against. And now the community thinks that you are messing with this other woman or whatever you've been accused of. Just wanted to throw that in there.
Oh, yeah. No, I was done, man. So you're right on time, brother.
And the one thing you said when you first started off, Ricky, you talked about people changing children's diapers. I want you guys to think for a second. Now, by yes or no, okay, and I'm going to give you guys some time to answer. Simple yes or simple no. Did your church do background checks on people before they joined their ministry in terms of to help the ministry, like Sunday school teachers, people who worked in the nursery? Was a background check that you know of conducted on these people? Yes or no? Now, while we're waiting for the yes or no, here's why I'm going to ask. Here's why I'm asking this. We know that a person who is a rapist or pedophile, when they get out of jail, this follows them, right? The communities that they live in are on alert that they were like this. But what if they're going to a church outside of their community and nobody knows that they were a molester or a pedophile? And now they're changing your 2-year-old's diaper, your 1-year-old's diaper. How do you know? How do you know this person ain't touching your child? While you just got them in the nursery and you out there in church, in the sanctuary getting fed, as you call it, getting some word. How do you know that this person is not touching your child in a certain way? No. Miss J says no. Aisha Black says never. Tamasha Hunter says no. Jay Frost says hell nah. Right? Leroy says no. All knows. I don't get anybody saying that the church does. Now, why in the world is that? Why is that? Why would you not want to check the background of people who are going to be being hands-on with children when there is a problem with rape in church? Like, come on. That's crazy to me.
That will go outside their doctrine. That would it'll make them worldly. They're falling into the ways of the world if they allow for background checks, because they're supposed to be a situation where you've been circumcised of the heart and you a new creature and all this kind of stuff is supposed to be going on. And for me, like, if there's and I know this is going to sound sexist, but I don't care. If I ever went to a church and I saw a guy, a dude, wanted to be with the little babies and the little kids, I got to question that dude. There's something up with him. I'm checking him out.
Because most men don't have the patience for small children, especially when they're not theirs. They don't even like their own kids at that age.
And you're right about that. I mean, I am straight up. I love my kids, but when they were small infants, I ain't like them. I ain't like none of them when they were small infants. Once they started walking, talking, and all that, I started liking them then. But when they was infants, I ain't like them little jokers. They was fun to play with for a minute, but he hung on to your mama.
Right.
You know, but if I saw a dude doing that, I'm looking at him kind of sideways. I'm wondering what's going on here. But of course, they're not going to, even if they came in, and I guarantee if they said that they was a pedophile, you would, initially, they would be mindful of them. But I guarantee after a while, oh, see, he's been changed by the Lord. They probably parade him on up there and all that kind of stuff. They'll start taking their eye off of him. That's when the little viper or snipe will strike at them and get to your child. They may lay patient for years because they pedophiling somebody else out there. They'll lay there. They'll be patient and let you get comfortable. And everybody start thinking that, oh, some mysterious sky daddy is making them all good and change their heart. Hell no. I'm not trusting that. Wouldn't trust that to save my life. That's why these people got to be aware. They got to be attentive to this.
Absolutely.
Because this is ridiculous that it happens in that environment. Right. As much as black kids get shot in the street, that is something we got to be attentive to as well, is the fact that because like Ricky said earlier, when the pedophile constantly rapes or molests a child, that child will develop into a person who does the same. It's like they're procreating their own kind. So if they're separated from society and can't keep, and that'll slow down this whole situation so that they're not replicating themselves through the experience of pedophilia over and over again. And I'm pissed that I can't ever say it right, the LGBT whatever is actually trying to graft them into their organization. That part that they're allowing them to try to graft into their organization. That makes no sense to me.
That's really a shame. You know, I would never speak against somebody who's old enough to consent to their lifestyle, but a child is completely it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say this right here. 2 people had comments that I thought was great. Shondell said, "You only provide solutions when you want to fix a problem." Bars. That's all I'm gonna say. Let's see here. LaDawn said something. She said that's because a lot of people are participating, Kevin. So I asked the question, why don't they do criminal backgrounds? And that's a good answer. It's because a lot of people are participating. They're not on a payroll. What if I said to you, LaDawn, that is more of a reason you should check someone's background? if they're willing and to volunteer their time, their own precious time, to work with your children, what's in it for them, really? I mean, it could be to help. And in a lot of cases, it is. But because we know that there are psychopaths out there, this should be done. If you really want to donate your time to our church, to what we are doing, would you mind me conducting a background check? It is prerequisite for you to work with our children. No, then that right there is a clear red alert that we don't want you working with our children. It's that simple. The sheer fact that you said no lets me know I don't need your services or your help in any way. Why would you say no?
I bet you if they handling that money, they probably do a background check.
Right. If they're paying them, then they may do it. Of course, like Ladon, like she said.
I mean, counting the money. Like if you.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
That's counting the money. They probably checking you out then. They watching over you. Think about it. When you count that money, like it's like 4 or 5 of them back there making sure that counts right. You know, they doing it like at the casino where they got 5, 6, 10 people watching to make sure the count is right.
Absolutely.
And checking again, and then the general ledger person just sitting there watching everybody. They making sure that money right, but then they'll let your children just go off with Joe somebody and just be whatever, think that it's the spirit's supposed to carry them or some nonsense like that.
Absolutely. And like Tamasha said, why would you leave your child with your preteen with a grown man or an adult like that anyway? You know what I'm saying? So we have to keep these things in mind, and especially whenever people know that your child may have certain thoughts, like when you have young boys who say, man, I'm dealing with this idea that I could be homosexual, right? And then all of a sudden you have these men who want to take them under their wing and teach them how to be a man, right? How you know they don't deal with the same type of ideas, and they're not going to do anything but be touching on your child, right? Or even a female child who says the same thing, and women say, we just need to get her around us, and we're gonna be praying for and deal with this. And all of a sudden they touching your child. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of times, again, these children are not telling, okay, especially if they like Lorenzo said, sometimes the body can be ahead of the mind, which is a problem. Okay, when you are maturing and you get your period and you have all these hormones going through your body before your mind is ready for this, you may sneak around and do stuff promiscuously that's not good for you because you don't know any better. And I'm talking about a lot of children in a lot of cases were willing. Okay, they was fast, as we call it. But we have to understand that there is no excuse for an adult to touch your child, even if it's offered to them. Some people have already been molested, and their mind is already messed up. So they do think like that. I know someone whose child, got touched by a person, and they said that their child now, the child is around 5, and they said that their child touches themselves. A little girl, she touches herself now because some man was doing that to her, and so now she touches herself, and she caught her daughter doing this a couple of times after, of course, they've already taken care of the situation. That man is behind bars. But this child now is like mentally or psychologically is suffering from this, and it shows. The parents see it. So this is another conversation I've had with another person. What do you do when your child seems to be promiscuous at that age? You're talking about someone who's been mentally, affected. These things are really difficult to speak on, guys. Some of you guys are like, I just throw up in my mouth. Believe me, it's a hard conversation to have, but we have to be willing to have these conversations. Like Lorenzo said a while ago so eloquently, they'll have more than one person to count the money, but they'll let you take a child into the bathroom by themselves with no one with them. Why don't the church at least say, if you're going to take a child to the bathroom, it should be 2 or 3 of y'all? Why don't they do things like that to protect these children so it doesn't happen? Okay? Like, I'm sure they would find volunteers who are willing to do this, even with somebody standing behind them, right? But we just hand these children to these people. All this trust stuff got to go. Somebody said earlier, it's not a religion problem. It's a manipulation problem. Well, it's a rape problem. But what we're talking about is why people allow it and why people put their children in the position to be raped and harmed in these ways. That falls under religion and manipulation. In a nutshell.
You know what? People are lazy. I'm just going to put it plain and simple. People are lazy. People would rather avoid a confrontation and not figure out what the solution is and go through the process of handling the solution instead of just doing whatever is necessary. I mean, it's just like when we see these videos of these children acting a plum fool in the store and the parents like trying to beg little Johnny and all that kind of stuff not to stop acting out. Or when you got kids who have grown, they preteens and whatnot, or a teenager, and they just talking any old kind of way to the parent, and the parent they've given up because they feel like, oh, it's too much to handle. So they can't. People give up on the effort it takes just to raise their child. So the effort that it takes to train their child and teach their child, I took the same approach I took to alcohol with my kids, I took with sex. I never shunned away from talking to them about it for whatever level that they were when it was coming up. When they were 5, we had 5-year-old sex conversation. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and on up. So that they understood that there's nothing wrong with this, because I knew that all these hormones about that, like my son, boy, when them little balls drop, all that testosterone start pumping through your little brain. I had to make sure I started teaching him about respect, about honor, about integrity, about the fact that you have sisters. Would you want somebody to treat your sisters this way? Especially his middle sister, Simone. That's his best friend. I was like, would you want somebody to treat Simone that way if you went and did this or that to some little girl? And then treating them about respect, respecting somebody's space, respect, how much distance you put between you and a little girl. Like the whole thing just over and over and over again. Yeah, it takes a lot of work. And most of these parents are too damn lazy to go through the work that it takes to get your child over that hump of understanding, to get them to that point where they can realize that, hey, sex is not a bad thing. It has its proper place. It's not something that is just purely about emotions, that it's a combination, a balance of your emotions and your logic, your thinking, and that, you know what, at 14, I'm not emotionally mature to handle this. I'm not logically mature. At 16, I tell my son, he's 16 years old. I tell that little joke all the time. I say, look, boy, 100 years ago, a 16-year-old boy, you can go out there, get you some land, farm it, and build a house on that land, and make a living for yourself, and you can go get a wife 100 years ago. But it's not 100 years ago. Right now in today's world, at 16, you have sex with a little girl, she get pregnant, you can't afford to do jack. You can't take care of yourself right now, so you dang sure can't take care of a little girl or a baby. So you need to have that in your mind when you sit up there and you going out with your little girlfriend, and I don't care if she's starting it or you starting it, y'all start do some rubbing, you need to know how to stop. Never let your emotions pull you, because and I'll teach my son, a man who does not maintain control of his emotions is not a man, right? So, it's like we got to go through these things with our kids and keep teaching them because it never stops.
That's 100% right. It never stops. You're right. It never stops. Like you said, we can be too immature or not mature enough to handle, sex and things of that nature. But again, man, we grown and we still see memes shared from grown-ups about catching feelings, right? We know that with sex, it comes a lot of responsibility. I mean, you can have a grown-up conversation with a person about sex under the understanding that it's for enjoyment, and one of those people can still get attached or get their emotions into it and be hurt after the fact. So it's always something that you have to take real strong consideration about before you enter in that act with someone. Make sure both of y'all want the same things. Even after the fact that y'all done had sex and got your enjoyment out of it. Some people just want to enjoy your body. And if that's not what you want, then you need to not be doing it. Because if you're told, hey, this is just for fun, right? I'm not looking for that. But deep down you are looking for that. Don't take this thought in your mind, well, I'm going to tell them that I'm not really looking for that, but I'm hoping that I can, convince them, because you're setting yourself up to be hurt. And this is things that we understand as adults. A child is not going to have the mind to try to go through any of that in their head. Man, we'll let our children watch somebody get their head chopped off on TV, but then cover their eyes when two people kiss. Do you understand how bad that is? Like, you will let your child witness murder before they witness love. You see what I'm like? Cover your eyes, and I'm talking about what's wrong with us. You understand what I'm saying? So, because we don't, now
This
your
is what I'm
child,
talking about, Kev.
say
Like,
what?
with education. Like, we learn everything in church that doesn't do us any good, but the things that we need to be learning, it's non-existent. Like with what Coach was saying, that's why I made the video about male virginity, because we're taught as males, like early on, not all of us, but when I was young, you know, you was taught to, you know, lose your virginity as soon as you can, you know. So that's something that's actually pushed on you know, young boys. And if us as men, if we, just like Coach said, teach our young men that just because you're having these feelings and you're having these emotions, and don't look at it as some type of badge of manhood that you're able to, you know, lose your virginity and have sex with a woman or a young girl. That's not something that we should kind of, you know, pat them on the back or encourage them to do, but it's encouraged a lot amongst our young men. So that's why they put this pressure on young ladies to be sexually active before they're ready to. And another thing is, in the church, another way that the church damages us is that we're not given that sex education. Okay, you know, your body is changing, you're having these feelings, you're having these emotions, and you just tell the child, don't have sex because you're ready, or don't fornicate because the Bible says you shouldn't, or God is looking at you, Jesus is looking at you, without teaching them, okay, if you are going to do this, these are the ramifications. We know sometimes you're gonna fall, you're gonna give into these urges. Birth control, condom, you know, protect yourself. Not encouraging you to have sex, but if by some means you are going to do it, this is how it needs to be done. I prefer you not to do it, but if I can't stop you from doing it, this is how it needs to be done to protect yourself and to prevent bringing a life into this world that like Lorenzo said, you don't have the ability to be able to take care of.
Absolutely.
And, you know, let me add some more to this. Oh, there's an echo somewhere. But here's the thing. Dang, I almost lost it. Oh, we got it back. So, like one of the things Kevin was saying, that we covered our eyes when they see people kiss. But when me and my kid's mom were together, I never shied away from dancing with their mother in front of them, from hugging her every time I came in, every time we separated. I don't care if I was just getting up from the living room to go down to the den and coming back. You know, there was some level of affection shown, that sort of thing. I made sure my kids understood what affection looks like and what love looks like. And then even when her and I got divorced and we're still cool, still friends, I mean, I don't show her that kind of affection, of course, but I still show her kindness and consideration and respect. And I respect her husband as well. And when I, you know, if I'm dating someone, I make sure that my kids understand the levels of affection in that environment as well, for them to understand and see, like, this is how you are to be respected, and this is how you are supposed to show respect and show affection to one another. But they always understood that this is done out of thought about emotions, not just pure emotions, but this is a understanding of my mind and my heart are connected together in what I'm doing, and it's done purposely to make sure that the other person can understand what my intentions are for that person. But you know, and I want to hit on one other thing. It's a little bit different. Do a 90-degree turn here. LaShawn had posted something that somebody said on the Facebook post, Robin, that we let women get away with. I'm gonna tell you guys a little personal story. I was 14 years old. I was dating this other girl. She was 14 years old. Lived 3 apartments down from me. Her mother had known me. We used to sit on the stoop. Me and this girl wasn't doing anything sexual. We kissed. But then one day I'm coming home. Her mother says, I need you to come in the house and move this dresser for me. Go in there, I'm moving the dresser. Then she wants me to move something else. Then she gets me into the corner and she starts rubbing on me and kissing on me. Needless to say, me and her had sex, right? Now, you would think, to get to what Ricky was saying, you would think that would have been something traumatizing to me as a male, right? No, I come out of there. My brother and them and his friends are sitting on the stoop. They ask me what was going on.
Right.
I give them the proof. Y'all remember that?
Yeah, the smell test, yes, sir.
Of what we was doing, and all of a sudden, I'm congratulated. I'm getting pats on the back. You the man. How'd you do that? Oh man, she's so this, that, and third, and all that. So of course, what do? I keep going back to her. All summer. I keep going back to this lady because I've gotten this approval from the other men because I sold a big notch on my royal oak.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of mentality. But I'm gonna tell you that mentality. When I went into when I married my kids' mothers. Well, when I married my kid's mother, they don't have mothers. They got one. When I married her, after I developed a warped sense of sexuality for a while. For a few years, my sense of sexuality was completely warped because it stemmed back from this grown lady who did all kind of stuff, right? So I didn't have a sense of the specialness of intercourse at that time frame when we first got married because it was gone back then. You know, it was just notches on the belt. It took like maybe the second year of our marriage before that really came into play. And by then, because I was studying Tantra, and that actually brought the closeness, the intimacy level back in for me. I kind of like healed myself through Tantra, but it wasn't healing myself. I had an instructor, I had a coach who healed me through Tantra, and that brought it back to where sex became this intimate, beautiful, wonderful thing, not this notch on my belt. How much can I get, and who can I get it from? So these women, we got to be mindful of our sons and what women they're around too, and that it's not a notch on the belt. It's not something to congratulate them over. I would, if my son called me today and said that he had his first sexual experience, I'm not congratulating him. You're 16. You get no congratulations for that. You know.
See, you're 100% right.
Him.
Mm-hmm. You're 100% right, brother.
I'm not going to shame him, but we're going to go through the process.
Right. Absolutely. When I was 13, or 12, I think. I might have been 13. I had a conversation with my father. Okay, now he wasn't in my life, so I was going to treasure anything that this man said to me. You know,
right. He
asked me and my brother, "Have y'all had sex?" And my brother, of course, had. My brother's like a year and some months older than me, so he's like, "Yeah, I've had sex," and I said no. You know, and he was like, "You mean to tell me you ain't never had sex?" And I said, "Well, I fingered a girl, right? Because we went to the movie theater, you know, and the girls would get dropped off and supposed to be going to the movies with their friends, right? With me and my brother there, we just really going to the movies with them. And at that moment, to me, I probably had got about 2 minutes of feel in because I was so shy that I didn't even start until the credits was about to go up. But I'm about to tell my pop now that I at least did that because I want him to approve of me. Right. So I'm like, well, I fingered a girl. And he's like, boy, you mean to tell me you got your fingers in and you didn't hit? This is what he's saying to me now. He said, if you get your fingers in there, you're supposed to be hitting that. And I'm saying here, like, my whole mentality is like I'm being told this. He basically looked down on me like I was lame or something because I ain't never had. I'm only like 13. Honestly, sex wasn't even on my mind. I got like a rather late start to that. But I mean, I knew I was supposed to touch her. I mean, I was gonna do that, but I didn't think about the rest of it, like having sex with it. Like anybody who knows me will tell you, I'm a shy guy now. If we slept together, you came on to me. That's just 100% fact. I don't like to be turned down. It hurts my feelings. All right, so I'm not even gonna try. Like I've taken women out who said, you don't like me because you didn't try. No, I'm just not about to. I know we all know. Typically in this world that a man is not getting it until a woman's willing to give it. So I just stay in my lane. I'm not about to be asking you for something that you probably don't want to give me yet. So I'd rather just wait until you're ready. And that way it's enjoyable on both sides. That's just how I think. You know, again, I've had many women that I've went out on dates with who was just like, you don't like me. You don't want me in that way. And I'm like, that's not the case. I just want to take my time. You didn't seem like, you know, I'm shy. You know what I mean? But again, that could have really taken a hold on me because it most certainly took a hold on my brother for the first half of his life. When he heard that, when that dude heard that it was cool that he had sex, my brother went on a mission to knock down everything. You understand what I'm saying? Like he didn't care. If he came to your house, the fish stopped swimming. Okay, basically, if you moved, you could get it. I mean, it was like he didn't have a list of like dime pieces, and he'll probably be mad if I was to say this. You know what I'm saying? And I got many brothers, so don't try to think y'all know who I'm talking about either. But you know, it's just crazy to me. Is this like the mentality of like the energy that it gave my brother to go do more of this because his daddy was now happy with that. You see what I'm saying? And even I'm talking about, he would tell us stories about some woman that he met in Family Dollar, my father, and how bad, how good she was at giving him oral sex. And he'd just talk about how she did it all in the back and in the back of Family Dollar. He probably making it up. But I mean, as a child, you like, dang, this dude really get play. Like every time I saw this dude, he had another story. You see what I mean? And he was always pretty much married, so he shouldn't even been doing all that stuff.
Yeah, we messed up though. I'm the same way. The same thing happens to me, Kev. Like when I go out on a date and I'm not all woman, she thinks I don't like her, and I'm just like, look, I don't need to be all over you. Like, we just met, like we don't even know each other. So I'm just like, and then also what it does is because so many of our young men are so aggressive, towards women, they kind of normalize that behavior and says, okay, when they don't get that, they think that's abnormal. When you're not like overly aggressive and not trying to kiss on them and touch them and be physical, they see that as an abnormality when that should be, the norm.
Absolutely. Yeah, they do, because so many men would have it in mind, like, I just want to, they looking for the chance and they consistently trying. And me, I just prefer to be the gentleman. I don't know. It's just, I don't know no other way to be, man. Like, I honestly do not like getting turned down. It'll ruin my whole night. I feel like something wrong with me, everything. So I just rather know that it's a go before I try. So that just usually you starting it off. I mean, you better.
Yeah, but sometimes it backfires, okay? Like sometimes when you're kind of passive, they'll get aggressive. I'm like, oh.
Well, I mean, I never said I got a problem with aggressive. You might have that problem. No, I'm just playing.
Okay, now I know that neither one of y'all can come to Atlanta and hang out with me. But I talk to everybody. Like, I ain't never met a stranger in my life. And it's not that I'm trying to get at everybody, but it's just like, I don't know. Everybody
Coach,
just.
I'm not shy, Coach. I got the gift, Coach. I'm not shy.
Okay, I'm just because the wall don't need to be held out by anybody.
Well, I mean, and again, with me, man, I'm more laid back. I'm shy. I don't kiss and tell. Like, I'm not the type of dude gonna be like, I messed with her, it was good. Like, I just don't see a need to do it. I don't feel like I'm a better person for telling somebody I slept with you. Like, I don't care. Like, I actually genuinely believe it's about the character of a person, not necessarily how they look. So I'll be like, okay, you look good and I look good. What the heck does that mean, though? Who are you? What type of person are you? And what is your goal in life? Who the heck cares about all of that at the end of the day? I get it. You might get off on it. It might turn you on for a while, but that stuff wears off. And now you're dealing with the actual person, the person that's in that shell. And now you regret never meeting that joker. I mean, you see what I'm saying? Like, just because somebody beautiful don't mean that they gonna be who you want them to be to you. That just means they look good. You see what I'm saying?
They can get real ugly real quick.
Absolutely,
get
bro.
old real quick too.
Absolutely, it's 100% facts. But going back to what you say,
not too far off track, but that is something that we got to teach our boys in order for them to understand that these type of advancements and mentality of conquering is not a good way for them to be, and that they do have to be mindful of women, older women especially, who may see them as opportunities, and as prey as well. Because we was about to go off into a tangent, so I'll just try to bring us back.
We got off a little bit.
I was just about to bring us back too, so good work. Absolutely. I was just going to say, when it comes to that, somebody had said, they know a lot of men whose virginity was actually taken by their mother. So let's keep it in mind that women do this too. And again, like what Lorenzo was saying, is that a lot of times when this happens to men, they don't know that they've been raped. Again, it's manipulation. Psychologically, they feel like, shoot, I got some. They don't know that they have been taken advantage of, which is molestation, all the same. Young boys will be like, shoot, they love the opportunity to sleep with one of their teachers. You know what I'm saying? But if we thought for a second that some teacher was touching our daughters, man, we'd be ready to kill somebody. But if our son came home and said he was sleeping with his female teacher, you may not be that mad. And so we gotta approach this the same. Pedophiles are pedophiles. When that woman recreates, then the potential for her to recreate that same mess it's still there. So if you're just thinking about putting all the men away and not the women, and you still, again, you're still not stopping the problem, right? We need to look at them both the same and not be blinded by what type of vessel somebody in and whether they have a penis or a vagina. Rape is rape, and it need to be looked at as such, right? And it's just crazy because, again, if you hear of a little boy, a young boy messing with a grown woman and it's his teacher, I mean, even when you see this stuff on the news, most of the people like, shoot, she was kind of straight. I hit. I mean, you know what I mean? But when it's a man, everybody hate this dude. Like, he's the most worst person in the world. But if it's a woman, you'll be like, shoot, look, young boy was hitting that. Like, you know what I mean? Because I remember one of the teacher ladies, she was actually very attractive. And she was messing with this boy. And so a lot of people were saying, like, shoot, ain't nothing wrong with, but it is something wrong with that, obviously.
Something very wrong with that.
Absolutely. And we have to start treating it like that, man. Otherwise, it's not going to fix,
Oh, you're absolutely right. And I mean, all of that is just destructive to the society as a whole, and it's to the mindset of people. I mean, you can, when you look at any civilization that died, that just naturally died, before they were able to be conquered from the outside, they first conquered themselves on the inside, by letting these kinds of things go. I remember one time when I was young, I was about 14 years old. No, I was a little younger than that. I was about 12. I was about 12 years old. And we were visiting one of our family, we have a big family picnic thing, right? We have, and this is like huge, like 120, 130 people kind of family picnic, different offshoots of the family. And they was telling the girls, and I don't want to disrespect my family, so I'm just gonna make up a name that doesn't exist in my family. But they was telling the girls, stay away from Uncle Chung Lee. Stay away from Uncle Chung Lee. Don't you go by around Uncle Chung Lee. He'll split you in two. And I didn't know what that meant. I thought that Uncle Chung Lee will split him in two, meaning he'll kill him or something, right?
Right.
So what I came to find out about an hour later, that meant that he'll, that they knew Uncle Chung Lee was trying to have sex with the young girl. So I started this whole argument of, why are y'all warning the girls, getting mad at the girls, when y'all should tell Uncle Chung Lee to get his ass off and over here, that he shouldn't be around the family if he can't control himself, if he got an issue like that. And it's all, I mean, because dude, this is like families of 5 different branches coming together at a family reunion. I'm like, why is Uncle Chung Lee here? He needs to go. He should be excommunicated from the family. But it's because families allow those kinds of breakdowns and keep things hidden and want to not say nothing. That's the kind of stuff, man, that it destroys the group. It destroys the community. And that's why I said, like, 1A and 1B is family and church. Those are 2 places where children should be safe. But we got to watch as parents, we got to make sure they're safe. As adults, we got to make sure they're safe from that. And we got to be mindful of the family members, because I'll be damned. Look, it could be my brother, it could be my uncle, I don't care. Like I said, I did a certain job in the military. You'll find some jokers be missing, doing some stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So, and it doesn't matter who you are. I don't care how close you think you are. You ain't none of y'all that close.
Dang right. It shouldn't be no amount of close you can get to a person that you can touch his child. Come on now. I mean,
thank you very much. We gotta care about each other that much, though, man, to not want to damage each other's children. You know what I mean? It's like, if this religion is supposed to make you so moral, so better, so so holy. God is moving in your life. The Holy Spirit is moving in your life. This book says that it gives you, baptism gives you a good conscience towards God and all of this nonsense that the book says. They just don't follow it the way it should be followed. Because if they was following it any, like, even relative close to what some of the stuff in it, some of the principles in it, we wouldn't have all of the issues that we have today. Like, not only are the churches divided through doctrine and teachings, they're also divided racially. I was going to conduct an experiment where I was going to go on the side of town where I know that it's predominantly white. And I was going to go in their churches to see if anybody else was in there, you know. And I was like, and you know what I did? I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that because they may be like, hey, a black person hasn't been in this church in 10 years. Like what are you up to? You know what I mean? They may think I'm trying to like do something like weird. So I would even feel uncomfortable doing that. You know what I mean? Because like the service would probably just stop and be like, what is he doing?
Right.
Like, but we're supposed to be about Jesus. They're supposed to welcome me in, but because a black person hasn't been in this church probably since it was erected, that would be abnormal to them. You know? So I'm just like, it's just total and absolute nonsense.
Right, absolutely. And just because they're in religion does not mean that they're free from the world's programming, like racism and or thinking that you're violent just because of your skin color. We know that we know that religion don't protect you from the world's programming that we've all been subjected to. We can look at our own race and feel fear if we feel like we're in the wrong part of town or they walking by us at night. We're across the street from our own people, but we're called white people racist for this. It's programming. You're programmed. You'll lock your door for a black person just like a white person would. You're programmed. You obviously don't hate black people, but you fear them. You fear the man in the mirror just as much as a white person fears a black person because you've been programmed to think you're violent, and everybody that looks like you is also violent. And I was going to say that we operate under this mentality that that God's got it, and especially for religious people. But you have to understand, and thank you very much, Riri High, for the donation. I said it earlier, but I don't know if you could have heard me. I didn't want to talk over Ricky. But let's see here. Help me out, Lorenzo. Where was I? Or did you hear me? What you reading?
No, I heard you, but now you lost me because you asked me a question.
Yeah, it's one of those. If you wouldn't have asked, I could have told you, right?
Yeah, if you wouldn't have asked me, I could have told you.
I'm like you. I'm back now.
Not because you go into the church doesn't make you
right.
It doesn't change your mindset. It doesn't make you proper. You still think racist thoughts. You still think misogynist thoughts, all that kind of stuff.
Yes, sir. I'm back to it. Okay, so we live under this idea that God's got everything, but you have to understand religion. If religious or non-religious, you have to take control over the protection of your children. If you are training your children and yourself how to spot a pedophile before they touch your child, and everybody else in your church is doing the same thing, then everybody's eyes is always on alert. You see what I'm saying? And it would be harder for a person who is using a religion to rape your children, okay? Because believe me, I, for one, would tell you that being a rapist or a molester has nothing to do with a Jesus. We understand that Jesus never even existed. So regardless of what religion they subscribe to or what belief they have, it really has nothing to do with their evil minds or their horrible or unhealthy minds wanting to touch your child. We know that you're not going to read the Bible and say, ooh, now I want to rape kids. We know this. And we know that if you want to rape kids, you're probably not going to read the Bible and say, ooh, and now I don't want to anymore. And the reason we know this is because people who read the Bible rape kids. It's not a reach. So you have to say, okay, you know what? If I cannot depend on an entity outside of myself to protect my child from things like rape, molestation, I need to learn how to protect my child from things like rape and molestation. The people around me need to know how to protect their children from this. I can't be the only person on alert. Everybody needs to know this stuff. If we're looking for this stuff, we'll spot these people a lot easier and make it harder for them to hide themselves in a freaking preach robe, okay, or a priest collar. I mean, we have to make it harder for these people. If I like women, believe me, it's going to be really hard for me not to look at a beautiful woman when she passed by, because that's what I personally am attracted to. Now, if I'm attracted to children, it's probably going to be hard for me not to look at children in that way. Start watching these people and how they look at your children. They just go come up to your child and they squatting down low to get hyped with them to start talking to your child. See, when I worked in sales, Lorenzo and Ricky, I never did that. I always dealt with the adult because me personally, I don't want people talking to my children. If I went into a place to buy some furniture or to buy something, deal with me personally. I don't need you squatting down low. Hey, you, what's your name? And asking my child crap. And I'm not going to pause and wait for them to tell you their name. I'm going to say his name, Justice. You can stand up. He don't plan on buying nothing today. It's only me. That's just how I am. I'm very protective of my children. So because I'm that way, you treat people how you want to be treated. I'm not going to come get in your child's face. I'm not going to ask to hold your child. I'm not going to pinch their cheeks. I'm dealing with you personally. I'm going to sell you your furniture or sell you whatever you came in to buy, and you're going to leave out the store and hopefully have a great day. But I don't get one-on-one with people's children. And a lot of salespeople do that and think that it helps them. If that's an advantage that I choose not to take, because personally, I feel uncomfortable kneeling down and talking to your child. That's just not something I do. I love children to death. I hate to say that. I love children to life. Right. But I don't want to be one-on-one with your child. That's just not me. I just don't. When I was a youth pastor, I dealt with people that was around 14 and up. So I don't even have the mindset to be good with younger children. I would get impatient. You see, like I'll consider myself an intellectual. So if I'm talking and the whole group is talking and laughing and throwing gum and stuff, that's not going to be an ideal situation for me, right? I need to talk with people that can sit down like a grown-up and can at least hold their frame of thought in place for the 30 minutes or 45 minutes at least that I'm going to be talking to them. Not them having a childlike mindset and I have to keep on saying focus, focus, focus. I mean, you see what I'm saying? So I get that some people are just better skilled at teaching young children. I'm not one of those people. So I wouldn't even try to attempt to do such a thing. Or nor do I really have the patience for it, to be honest. You know, like I won't whip my own children at all. But if I see somebody else's child being bad in the store, it might cross my mind that child need a whooping. Now, if it was my child, it wouldn't cross my mind. That's just my patience with other people's kids. I don't have a lot of patience. And so you're not going to see me want to be around your child and play friends with your child. Never. So, and I say that from my point of view. So any grown man that wants to be around my children or any other children, I really think that is cause for alarm, not cause to think that they're a molester. So I don't want you guys to say Kevin says anybody that want to work with children is a molester, but you have to understand the potential is there. It can happen with them working with your child one-on-one. So you better not overlook this crap. Say what?
No, I was just saying you should be mindful, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't mean that they are. You still should be mindful of their interactions with your children.
Right. Where does all this trust come from in people that you don't know? Because you in a church? Would you hand your child to somebody at Walmart that said, let me take your child to the bathroom? If you was walking in Walmart with a buggy full of groceries and your child saying, Mom, Dad, your child's in the buggy facing you, you pushing him. Mommy, Daddy, I need to use the bathroom. Well, you're going to have to wait, son. I got this buggy. Wait, son or daughter. I got all this food in this buggy. So just give me a moment, right? No, I really need to use it now. What would you do if somebody walk up to your child and say, I'll take him? What would you do? You're going to look at him and be like, man, boy, if you don't get out my face, right?
Yeah.
But if you're in an atmosphere like a church, you can be visiting a church. You don't even know this person. And they can take your child to the bathroom. Why? Where all this trust coming from?
Hey, Kevin, that's a perfect place for a pedophile to set up shop. You know
Absolutely.
And this. I'm sorry, Coach.
No, go ahead. No, I'm disagreeing.
I was gonna say this is what kills us. Like I am said something earlier. He says if you don't question God's morality, then you're probably not gonna see that your own morals are flawed. And that's what I say this all the time. If you can read this book and you don't have a problem with all of this stuff that you read about, then when your preacher does something that's that's questionable or that's against the word of God, because you've read all of these horrible things that the biblical God has done, and it's programmed your subconscious to some horrendous things, you forgive. And like you just forgive everything. And it's like it's absolute, like it's just crazy.
It's crazy.
Sounds crazy.
And that's why we say manipulation, because in order for you to be willing to give your child to a stranger or let a stranger around your child or even somebody that you don't know outside of your view, you are manipulated if you wouldn't do these things in another way. Like, if you let your cousin rape your child and get away with it, but you would have put a stranger behind bars, you manipulate it. You think the fact that this person's is your mama's sister's kid or brother's kid means that they can touch your child? What is wrong with you? I don't care if it was your mama, your daddy, your grandma. Can't nobody touch. The moment you have your child, they are the most important person. Anybody touch them, it needs to be a problem.
Oh, definitely that. I don't care who it is. It could be their mom.
Yeah, I don't care who it is.
Anybody.
If they willing to touch your child, they obviously don't love you in the same way as you talking about you love them. Forget them. Do with them what needs to be done.
That goes, like you said, all the way back to the manipulation. Mm-hmm. How we've been manipulated into these different mindsets that says that you hide family shame and you hide church shame.
Right.
And you make excuses and amends for it by saying that you got to be forgiving and all this kind of stuff. And then, like Ricky said, when you read this book, you see somebody who says, kill all the men, all the women, all the small children, all the animals, post some damn salt on the land. It's like, really, dude? My son plays a video game. He don't kill that many people. You killing everybody. You know, you salt in the land and everything. So, I mean, it's like, it's hard to get a real base of morality that says that this is wrong. When you got them saying that, hey, go kill everybody. But if you find some young virgin girls, or probably little small children, you can bring them home as your wife. And how do you make somebody your wife back in them days? You have sex with them.
Right.
So it's like you're trying to break from a morality that has a morality that's telling you that it's okay. And I mean, what's the other one? If a man rapes a woman and she is a virgin, then he paid the father 50 shekels of silver.
Yeah, if she's
a married girl.
Mm-hmm. If she's not engaged, she's free game to be raped, and you just got to pay for her. But then you got to stay married to her forever. So the rape victim is now sentenced to marriage with you forever. Where she now, mind you, biblical marriage, you can't turn your husband down. So now you his sex slave pretty much forever because he raped you, and that's supposed to be punishment for the rapist.
Right.
Like
he now got to do with you.
Wow. It's just it's unreal.
And they had to make sure they put that other part. And you can't, if you marry somebody else, you can't take nothing away from her. You gotta still take care of her too.
Right, because you've humbled her. Right, you've humbled her. Just the words they choose to use, like.
It's when you really look at it, whether people realize it or not, those kinds of things are in their subconscious for what they've been taught. And if you've been taught these kinds of moralities, then it plays itself out when it actually happens, because that's what you've been brought up to believe and brought up to taught. You've been manipulated from a child to think that these are men that are untouchable. These are people, well, I ain't gonna say men now, I'm gonna say people in these positions that are untouchable. And here's the history of our God that makes provisions for all these things. And whether people think about it in the front of their brain, their conscious brain or not, that subconscious mind is saying, no, that's okay, because I was told that was okay. And that subconscious brain doesn't really separate what's better for the community and what's not. It just says, hey, that's just what I was told. And it is what it is. So since that's what it is, then we have to make a reason for it to be okay. That's why people in every aspect of life, we keep going in circles and circles of messing things up, because our subconscious is saying that, no, that's how it's supposed to be. You know, you're supposed to be manipulated that way. You're supposed to be, you know, you're not being manipulated. You're just being taught the way God works, and he works in mysterious ways, and your mind can't function at the morality mind of God. So, you know, it's okay for you to have that. And our subconscious will force that program until we change it. And we have to change it in people's mind to realize that, no, this is not good. That was not a good dude. Yahweh, Yah, whatever the hell you want to call him, you know, Enlil was not a good dude. You know, so we got to stop going based on the morality of some alien way back in the day and realize that you're smarter than that you have a better conscious brain than that, and that you see a true reality.
You know, it's very common for people to be manipulated in church. And just if you go to church and you still subscribe to the literature, to the belief, I'm gonna show you how, number one, to know you've been manipulated. The sheer fact that you have your pastor to pray for you or have other people to pray for you is a direct sign that you are manipulated. The idea to think that God would hear someone else over your voice, over your sincerity, that somebody else can pray to God and be more sincere than you enough to get him to listen, is just sheer nonsense. If Ricky was talking to me and every time he asked me a question, I directed the answer back to Lorenzo as if Ricky wasn't talking to me. You would clearly say, Kevin, you're being childish. We know this happens. We've seen this happen, right, on movies and even in our own family. When somebody mad at you, you be like, Lorenzo, tell Ricky this because I don't want to talk to him, right? Ricky sitting here is clearly talking to me, and I'm saying, Lorenzo, tell Ricky this because I'm trying to be mean to Ricky. The idea that you would go to your pastor and have him pray for you, but God would tell your pastor something and not you, is childish as crap. It's the same stuff. So you're saying, God gave me a word for you. The sheer fact that you're going to stand there and listen to it is proof that you've been manipulated. Because why would God give them a word for you? You don't have ears? It's like, it's crazy. I got a prophecy for you. I'm going to tell you something the Lord told me to tell you. Man, let me tell you something now. If God want to talk to me, whoever you think God is, that person would talk to me. You're manipulated the moment somebody tells you to believe in Jesus because Jesus didn't talk to you. You're hearing this from someone else. You're manipulated every time you read a scripture and ask somebody you think is more versed than you to explain what that scripture means. The sheer fact that somebody else is going to interpret a scripture for you is sheer fact you're manipulated. If God inspired this word, and it's inspired by an all-knowing, all-loving God, that God would have given the word in a way that you could understand it. If I read the Bible and I read about Elijah and the bears ripping apart these children, and I'm going to attempt to tell you this story in a positive way, there is no way possible to do it if I don't manipulate it. I said Jephthah was burned by her father, okay? And a man said she wasn't burned. The Bible clearly says that Jephthah went off, wept for her virginity and all this stuff, and came back, and the Bible says he did with her just as he promised God he was going to do. What did he promise God he was going to do in the literature? That he would burn his daughter for favor in war. He did that. So the sheer fact that you're saying he didn't, because if you look at this part, it means this you're manipulating. That's what I'm saying. If I read the scripture directly, somebody who believes in the Bible will say Kevin's manipulating. Listen, the people who translated this stuff were trusted to translate this stuff, right? Why are we trying to redo what the people who were qualified to do has done? So now we go back and say, you don't understand the Bible because you didn't learn how to translate the Bible? I thought it was already translated for us. Right. Manipulation 101. Oh, you got to go to school to know the Bible. I got this degree. I got that. Man, shut up. You don't know nothing. You know what they taught you in school, and now you think because you went to school to learn God, now you know more than everybody else about finding God, who's everywhere at the same time, but you got to have a doctorate to find him. Man, you crazy, and that stuff don't work on me or us. I get people all the time who swear up and down, I'm a scholar. I don't care what you have. If the God of this book don't talk to me personally, you can take that crap and shove it where the sun don't shine. Because I'm not going to subscribe my identity in my faith, the faith I don't have, into something that I have no proof of because you can make it sound good. It's ridiculous. And we got to learn to protect our brains and protect our hearts, because if we don't, you'll end up right in manipulation again, and it won't even be religion this time. You understand? Some people leave religion and still get manipulated now.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I tell people this: if God, when people say God spoke to them, if God, I'm this type of dude. If God try to talk to me, I say, hold on, God, hold on, God. Let me pull out my cell phone. Let me go live. You know what I mean? Like I'll do all of these things to record it because I say this is the whole problem. You've been telling people things, only telling that person, but you didn't tell everybody else. Because we got to help this God out sometimes, because he's a little bit learning this age. You know what I mean? So sometimes we got to help him out. Because I'm like, that's the whole. Let me help you out, guys. Solve this issue. If you only gonna tell me, I don't want to hear it, because nobody's gonna believe me. One, I was like, if you got a message for me that's so important, then you just need to tell everybody else. I don't even want to hear it.
Keep it to yourself, bro, because you're not about to have me out here saying you said something by faith. Like, I believe in my heart God told me to take. How come you can't just go to him and say, listen, I got some advice for you. I could be wrong, but it appears that you're going down this road, and here's what can happen. I've been down that road. This can hurt you in this way. I've read this much on this. Why you got to go to him and try to give what you about to say, give the credit to some God? Because you know that's going to make them listen more. And it's like, stop doing that. Stop saying God told you to say stuff. Like, man, that's crazy.
That's the trick.
Yeah.
You know, the last time a pastor said that to me, he was like, you know, God told me this morning that you're supposed to go to seminary school. Now, this guy was a Marine just like I was, right? And I told him, I said, now, you know, in the Marine Corps, when we get life-changing orders, what's the first thing we do? We have to make sure those orders are authenticated. So I need that to be authenticated. If that's what God told you, God need to tell me. And since he ain't told me nothing like that, that's not going to happen, bro. And plus, I know why you saying that to me, because he knew that I was like not having any of that I was only there for my father-in-law. So I was just like, man, please. That does not, but you know, that works on so many people. I've seen, and this is a popular one, I've seen so many women in church in the past that God told me this morning that your husband is coming. So you need to go and get your house ready for your husband. Clean your house and talk to your husband, because he coming. This year your husband coming. And I see a whole bunch of women running out, and all of a sudden they clean their house. I was asking the question, why hell wouldn't you clean your house beforehand? Living in an old dirty house, should have been doing that for yourself. But they run out, now they want to clean their house because this man has said it. And the last time I heard somebody people was saying that's what was said, that was about 6 years ago. Ain't none of them jokers married. Not now, one of them. And that's just, but they'll go for it every year. People go for that stuff all the time when somebody say, oh, I'm a prophet, I'm a prophetess, and I'm a this and I'm a that. You know, these self-glorified certifications that they've given themselves simply because they it's that ego, man, that ego, and them feeling like that, oh, I'm connected in some way. And they literally believe it, though. That's the worst part.
Man, I used to believe it. So, I mean, that's the whole thing. You actually be believing that some God told you that. And that's why I say that the people got to be stronger, because sometimes the preachers and the ministers are the most manipulated people in the building. They really believe that they're being told to tell you this by some entity outside of themselves. That's the name that they was taught, the name of it, without researching. They really believe that person is talking to them. I used to, trust me. So when I tell you that you back your own thoughts by projecting them onto some God that you feel like called you, this happens. And that's why we need people to say, you know what, if God didn't tell me, man, I'm just not about to go for it. It's just not going to happen like that. When I was young in church, I was probably about 17, 18, so I wasn't a minister yet. I was doing a lot in the church, but I wasn't called a minister yet. And this prophet that came to the church, and every time we had a prophet come, the church would be packed. And I didn't care if the prophet preached 6 hours, it didn't matter. People were going to stay because they wanted to wait to the end to see if they got a prophecy. So here's one of these times came. I was struggling. I was praying that God would enlarge my territory. I was taught that if you pray for stuff that's personal to you, God won't answer. But if you ask God to help you with other people in mind, then God would answer. So this preacher had said, if you make a deal with God, sort of like a covenant with God, like Jacob did, right, about telling God to enlarge my territory or give me more, I'll tithe, right? And then Jacob ended up not tithing, we know, but he lied to God, and God should have known that. Either which way, this is what I was taught. If you make a covenant with God, God will do it. So I told God, who I thought was God at the time, that I really wanted to help people, and there was a lot of starving. This has always been my mission, guys. And I was praying that God would enlarge my territory, not so I could have money, but so I could help people. And I'm really believing God for this, who I thought was God. And now this prophet calls me up, and I'm sitting up there with my hands clasped, with that sincere face, like, tell me something that I need to hear. You know how people look when they think they're about to get a prophecy. And the dude told me that I was dealing with the spirit of murder. And if I don't get rid of this spirit soon enough, I'm going to end up in prison, or whatever. And so, of course, I also knew that if a prophet was telling you something wrong, you're supposed to tell him that he's wrong. So he asked me, was what he's saying resonating with me? I said, absolutely not. Now, at the time, I wore baggy clothes. So he probably was looking at how I was dressed, not knowing I was a full-fledged Christian Okay, the church I went to was evangelistic. My pastor didn't focus too much on how you dressed. He just said, come. So we didn't wear suits at church unless like you was like a deacon and an older person. You just wanted to wear a suit. So we wore regular clothes. So I wore regular clothes to church, which were baggy. And so I'm thinking this man's looking at me, not knowing that I sit in the front row every Sunday, bro. Like the only reason I didn't sit in the front row is because I got to church a few minutes late and everybody was sitting up there because a prophet was in town. So he thinking that I'm just a random person. He has to be thinking that he must not know I really work in this church. I do stuff. So I told him, he asked me if it resonated. I said, no, brother. I ain't never thought about killing nobody in my life. In my mind, I'm thinking, until now, because I can totally kill you for putting this idea in everybody's head that I'm dealing with the spirit of murder. Like, really, you're wrong, and you couldn't be more wrong. You know, but I told him in front of everybody he was wrong. When I tell you that people came to this man's rescue trying to say what he meant by it, talking about he could have meant murder in terms of gossip, because you know the Bible says, you know, to gossip about a person is the equivalent to murder. Then why did he tell me if I don't deal with this spirit soon enough, I would be in prison? Do they lock people up for gossip now? Man, this man was calling me a murderer or saying that I was actually dealing with the spirit of taking somebody's life from them. Please don't try to make it better for this dude. You see what I'm saying? It's crazy how much these people are protected, even though I'm telling this man, you wrong. And if you wrong about me, you probably wrong about somebody else. Now, here's the thing. If he had told me I was getting something, I probably wouldn't have told him he was wrong. But he tried to tell me what I was dealing with at that time, which I knew this man was wrong about. But if he had said, this is going to happen in the future, God going to bless you, because one dude told me that God, within 5 days, God is going to blow my mind. That's what he told me. God is going to bless you so bad, so good, that it blows your mind. Man, nothing happened in 5 days. Man, I'm talking about every day I was waking up like, shh, I can't wait. And the 5th day, you better believe I was high. I'm talking about high on life, thinking today is the day. Man, ain't nothing happened, man. But you know, a day to God is 1,000 years. So we got 5,000 years for me to get this blessing. So, you know.
You better be able to move your consciousness into a new body. You have to wait on that one.
You know what else they tell you, Cam? They tell you when it's your time to go, you gonna go.
Right.
You know what I mean, like that's another silly thing.
Absolutely.
I'm like, who has ever survived being decapitated? So if it's your time to go, so that means you chop somebody's head off. No matter if God ready for them to go, have you ever seen their head just say, hey, yo, bro, God ain't ready for me to go. Can you put my head back on? Like that just doesn't happen.
Well, see, the way they make you think, Ricky, is that God used the person that killed you to do that murder because it was your time to go.
Yeah, that's how that works.
Honestly, I promise you, that's how they look at it.
Yeah, see, that's how that works. Yeah, there's always a way out now.
And then there's a reason that you got murdered for your children. That there's a reason for this, right? Because God uses that to help you. So God had to kill my mama. God had to kill my daddy for me to turn into something. God had to have my father walk out of my life for me to what? Be a better person? You know what I'm saying? Like,
you to go and be a youth minister and then walk away so that people can see the fulfillment of what is that part that they keep saying we are? Of the ones walking away? The great
fall away? The great fall away.
Now,
the apostasy, yeah.
Oh, apostasy, okay.
So, Kevin, God is using you in order to fulfill the prophecies of the Bible. Kevin, don't you know that? That's your purpose. So you are destined for hell from when you first was born. He made you to go to hell. You know that? I thought you knew.
Exactly. Honestly, that's how they put it. Everything happens for a reason. And so, guys, we already been going 3.5 hours. My whole goal is to keep this show at 2 hours because, of course, this is a live podcast on different stations as well. So we about to end it, guys. But I wanted to say, I guess I'll get my final thoughts first. I was just going to say, be careful that we don't continue to recreate history, guys. Women, for all of you that's listening, please make sure and be mindful that you're not recreating what you all recognize and even complain about in men by being misogynistic and only having one goal in mind. I'm saying that to say, you know, I've taken women out on dates who tried to say I was gay because I didn't want to sleep with them. What happened is I went out on a date with them and I realized they didn't have a brain. And I don't mean they didn't have a literal brain. I mean they wasn't on the same mental level as me, and I'm sapiosexual. If you're not talking about nothing, I don't care how big your butt is. I don't want you. That's just me personally. I don't have it in me. Like nothing in me is going to make me want to have sexual relations with you if you're talking about dumb stuff. That's been mostly my problem. Taking women out on dates and they talking about nothing the entire time, and I just want to take them home and drop them off, not go in with them. But I don't have anything in me that says I want to be with this person in that way. And so a lot of women will make you feel like it's something wrong with you because you don't want to screw them. And it's like, I just don't want you no more. Yeah, you was cute, but no, we don't. I don't have a connection with you. And so this type of mentality is like, okay, most dudes will do it just because you cute. A dude should just automatically want to sleep with you, but you complain about that. So stop trying to make your world be what you get what you want. Dudes can say no too. And if you say no, and a guy makes you feel like you and shame you because you say no, you'll say he's a jerk. But y'all do it all the time. Like y'all really do. Y'all make somebody feel bad because they don't want to sleep with you. Like you need to show respect too. Because again, you don't want to recreate this stuff and be actually condoning and encouraging the very thing you complain about. If you didn't want to have sex, okay, then if he asked you, you would say no. But if you want to have sex and you ask him and he says no, now he's a bad person. Or whatever you want to make up to make yourself feel better because he don't want to sleep with you, even if it's just yet. Sometimes men can be in control of their emotions and say, I ain't ready to have sex with you. A lot of times it's because a man automatically knows what comes with that. If I already don't like you, man, what I'm gonna sleep with you for? So you can say I got what I wanted and don't want to talk to you no more? I don't like to hurt people, and I don't like for people spreading my name out like that. I cannot stand when you don't like somebody no more. You can talk to them for 3 months, and if they can make you wait 3 months, and you have sex with them, now all of a sudden they change up and start treating you different, like they own you now, or whatever. Where you going? Where you been? Be heck. And you don't like that type of treatment because you're a grown man. So now you don't want to be in a relationship anymore. And they say, you just got what you want, and now you don't want to be with me. No, I realize you was a jerk, and I don't want to be with you. What you talking about? It has nothing to do with sex. You see what I'm saying? So I know if I don't like somebody at first, I know me having sex with you ain't going to make me like you. Not in the way that I want your company around me. I might enjoy sex with you, but I don't want your company around me because you don't have conversation. I'm not sleeping with you. I pass. I'm taking you home. I had a great time with you. And you'll meet somebody else who's more than willing to have you in that way. But my mind just don't work like that. My mind is not like, I can't wait to smash you. I don't think like that. So I just want women to understand that we have to be mindful that we're not encouraging the exact type of treatment that we don't want. So please keep that in mind, guys. I'm gonna give it to Ricky.
All right, as always, Kev, I just want to thank you for having me on. Enjoy the conversation, Coach. Just absorbing all of the wisdom and information in this dialogue. In regards to what we discussed tonight, if there's anybody out there, I know sometimes it may be like the hardest thing that you'll ever do is sometimes, standing up and opening yourself up and making yourself vulnerable to let these skeletons out of the closet. And I mean, even if you are like a perpetrator of some of these things, man, you just need to go get some help. If you have been a victim of molestation or any type of sexual assault, you need some therapy. If you haven't gotten therapy, because that's one thing in our community, just not we don't see the importance of going to someone and talking to a professional to try to get out to begin to heal some of that damage. So we're just not about religion, man. Like we're just about change and humanity in the world. We just want to see the world as it should be. But this thing, religion, is a big hurdle in preventing us from being able to do that. And that's why we come together each week or on a daily basis, just trying to break these systems down, these thought processes down, just so we can all be better and be more healthy. So,
thanks. Renzo.
All right. So, first thing, hashtag Me Too at church. Hashtag Me Too at church. For real, people, We got to make this be known. It has to become known because the only way that we can make this known is we got to shine the light on it, right? And the more light we shine on it, then the more people might start thinking and start using their brain to watch out for their children and for themselves, to be able to start teaching their boys that this ain't cool for them to just, put notches in their belt. That our young girls need to learn how to protect themselves and understand what's going on within them. So our boys need to understand what's going on with them too. But we need to understand what's going on within ourselves. And as parents and adults, we got to have a watchful eye no matter who it is. No one is safe. No one is safe. You have to keep a diligent eye on your children and on yourselves and on the people around you at all times. You have to be, it's like driving down the street, watching every car. You driving for every car. You watching every person that's involved with your children and to see how are they, what are their mannerisms, their thought process, their body language, the words that they speak, the tone of their voice, all those things. We got to be mindful. Got to be mindful. Guys, this movement is moving forward. It's moving fast. It's going to move in a wonderful, wonderful way. And the only reason it does is because of all of you guys, your financial support, your energetic support, your knowledge. Because as we develop over the next few months, there will be announcements about different things that we'll be doing and building, literally building. And we have in a certain spot of the country. So, this movement takes you guys. It takes the from number 1 down to number 1,000 in order for this to work, to grow, to provide a place, an atmosphere, an environment where people can truly develop into a greater version of themselves and create in life what it is they want to create based on their efforts and their mindset. So I thank you guys for being here, and I appreciate everybody. But keep growing, keep pushing, and stay with us, and be patient. And finally, I need everybody to subscribe to Ricky's page. And I need all you jokers to subscribe to my page too. I ain't got no shame, Mike.
No, listen, we got 300 people watching. I wonder if you guys are willing to go like these pages so they can see this increase on their pages tonight. Are you willing to just go hit like? I was just about to ask people, the people on this show, if I gave you guys a week to next Sunday to actually bring a donation, even if it's $1, to contribute to all the work that we do, would you guys be willing to do that? That's a rhetorical question, but I guess I'll call that a challenge. Let's just see. I want to say that a lot of preachers, and we talk about manipulation and promotion, how manipulation is used to promote religion to keep it growing. But a lot of times in church, they'll say, make sure you bring somebody next week to hear this word. I'm telling you this for promotion reasons. This is not a manipulation. I'm telling you guys, if you guys love this show, I see you all typing it. Great show, great dialogue tonight. Please understand that if we can get more people to sit and listen to the show, we can potentially change more people and make a better reality for us when we go outside. So try to get as many people to listen as possible. When we go live, share it and tell people as the weeks go on, make sure you watch the podcast. Tell people to go to Lorenzo's page. Tell people to go to Begging for Change's page. Tell people to listen to Callie. Tell these people to do that. The people that you know, suggest us to them. You see what I'm saying? This way we can continue to help. What help can we do if nobody's listening? How to join my Patreon? I'll tell you what. I will post the link to my page. If you guys are aware of my Facebook page, I will post the link to my Patreon on my page tonight, just so you guys can know exactly how to subscribe to Patreon. It would mean the world to me if you guys subscribe to Patreon. That's where I would really prefer people to come to donate. But of course, some people don't like a monthly contribution. They prefer to donate when they have it, which is completely understandable. I thank you all for the donations that you give. I thank you guys for sharing. You guys know I don't ask for much, but you guys have to understand I ask for a lot less than what I need, than what we need to continue this mission. So just keep that stuff in mind. Again, buying the shirts and buying the products most definitely helps. Again, I gave you guys the promo. It is Born number 2 win, all caps. When you go to BeTheEvolution.org, when you spend $50, make sure you put that promo code in to instantly save money. All right. And I'm working on more promo codes and more discounts so you guys can be able to get more stuff at a better price. Okay. So I'm trying to do all these things to try to help further this mission. Everything is with this mission in mind. I done saw so many people say they like this shirt, so I know I should be seeing some sales on this shirt. I hope we don't just like to look at it. Wearing this shirt will cause people to ask questions and begin to think about what they've been doing with their children. We're not born sinners, y'all. And if we don't change the foundation of what we give in our children, we're going to keep producing the same adults. We have to give them a different foundation if we want a different future. We have to. It starts now. And the rest of this crap that we've been doing ends the moment you learn that it's wrong. We're all on a journey. And so as you begin to learn that, hey, I haven't been focused on these things and making sure my child is protected. I haven't been focused on these things. Start being focused on those things. You don't need a New Year's resolution. I put on my Facebook the other day, there's no such thing as a day. We just call it that because the sun goes up. But we know the sun is just somewhere else when it's night to us, right? That's why you have different time zones. We just call it a day. So you don't need to wait until tomorrow to change your life. You can do that crap at any freaking moment. It doesn't matter if it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, or 12 o'clock. The moment you feel the need to change your mind and change your life and start doing things different, the time begins to be now at this moment. And anytime you do after that, it's just meandering. And we don't like to be idle. If you know to do good and you're not doing good, the Bible says to him is sin, right? If you know this stuff and you ain't doing it, you are a problem to our reality. You are one of the problems. So don't be a problem. Be part of the change. That's why I say be the change you want to see. Be the evolution. If you're not willing to do that, then you're doing nothing but contributing to the problem by not helping with the solution. Because you got to be the solution for there to be a solution. You do realize, right? You are the solution, not talking, okay? Not all that. You are the solution. If we create a better world, the people in the world will be better because of the world we created. And it would continue to yield better people who think within the norm of the world that we created. But we have to take the time to do that. So, again, the hat's available on there too, guys. So I'll show you close up. We are born winners, guys. And here's the back of it. So that's the dad hat. There's also a fitted hat available as well. So Born Winners is actually my brand. Of course, when you see Be the Evolution and stuff like that, that's things that we do to help the mission. But Born Winners is my actual brand. This is my business from here forward. I want to make Born Winners my brand so I don't have to ask for donations for y'all. So please make sure y'all support Born Winners so Kevin can have a life and take my kids places, right? And have health coverage and things like that. Matter of fact, speaking of health coverage, my sister, who I told you last week, found out she had cancer. I told you guys that this past Monday, she would find out if she needed to do chemo or what would be the results. So she got the test, and they ended up saying that the cancer has not spread, which is very fortunate. It had already spread for my mother. It had already spread for my sister, and they didn't make it a week after they were told that. So they're just they could actually surgically remove it, which is going to be done on June the 15th, which is my brother Latruth's birthday. So my sister will be going under the knife on June the 15th, guys. So to have this cancer removed, and I'm going not this week, but the following week to get myself and all my children tested. For those of you that's been sending me messages and stuff, you're very thoughtful, and thank you very much. But and also just wanted to say that to everybody else who may have been concerned. So and Dirty Water, if you're still on, make sure that you email me your Facebook because I thought I had you on Facebook, but I was wrong. Is there anything else before we get off, guys?
Yes.
That's it, man. Much love, Coach. Yeah.
Much love to you.
Josh,
indeed, brother.
Man, can't forget about Josh, man, behind the scenes, man. What's up, Josh?
As a matter of fact, guys, Josh had already turned it in for the night. He was very tired. I wanted to tell you guys that, Josh dedicates. Huh? What?
I was about to say I want to remind everybody that they need to come June 16th to Atlanta, Black Dot Cultural Center and Bookstore. Go ahead and get your ticket. Don't wait next week. Get your tickets now, tonight, before you go to bed. Because if you procrastinate, then what you're really saying is it ain't that important. All right. If it's important, then show up.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, stop saying that it's important. Because it ain't. If it's something important to you, you do it. Because I'm telling you right now, we're gonna build a compound, but we can't build it out of thin air. So show up. Show up. All right. Now go ahead. What you gonna say?
Absolutely. And I was gonna say, guys, the Patreon link is already in the description too. It's already in the YouTube description, and it's already in the Facebook live description, so it's there. All you gotta do is touch it, and it'll take you. Click the link, it'll take you right to it. I was just gonna say, to add to what you were saying, Lorenzo, before I finish up, what I was gonna say about Josh is that we know people will be there. We know you guys are gonna come out, but we want to say this: if you don't get the ticket soon, you're going to be hurting part of the show. Me and Lorenzo want to give you guys gift baskets. That means free gifts just for coming, special gifts from us. If we don't have the funding to do that, meaning you guys didn't buy the tickets up to the last minute, we won't be able to hand these gifts to you guys at the event. So we would be more than happy to give you guys a gift basket each when you come in. So make sure you guys are doing that. That you're going on ahead and getting your tickets. Don't wait to the last minute. We put them at $15, $20, guys, just so they could be really affordable. This is not something I need a plane ticket for. Lorenzo's already out there, so we didn't feel that it would be necessary to even charge more than that. So we're trying to do it so everybody can come and see this information, guys. Again, make sure you're showing up. And what I was going to say make sure you get your tickets now, I should say. But I was just going to say, guys, understand that Josh is like my ride or die. This dude, man, he came on board with me months ago. He helped me actually get the first computer by creating the GoFundMe and encouraging me to ask you guys for the funding. You guys obliged. Took a couple of weeks, and here we were, and we're still going. But Josh has done nothing short of donate and dedicate his time to what we're doing, and never has asked for a single dime. Okay, so Josh always gets on to me about taking my shows longer than 2 hours. So of course Josh is busy, and he has his own life, and it would be unfair for me to keep him long. So I always say, hey, Josh, if I go over 2 hours, you are more than welcome to just go ahead and turn in, because he has to get up early the next day. So Josh has already turned it in, guys. So I will tell him that you guys said thank you for what he's done and things like that as well. I will, LeSean. Thank you very much, brother. And thank you in advance, Sharon Norman. I'll definitely hit you up about that. So if there's nothing else, guys, we're going to get ready to close out.
All right, fam. This is what we got to do, man. This is it. I love it.
Absolutely.
Good night, everybody.
All right, family. You know my slogan now. Be the evolution, be the change that you want to see. And no candle loses its flame by lighting another. And thank you guys for tuning in to the Truth Factory. And I'm going to, I don't know if I can, but I'm going to attempt to play this song before we end this video. So just give me a moment. Let me see what I can do to get it up.
All right, good night, fellas.
All right, brother, good night.
All right, Rick.
All right, good night, coach.
You know, shows normally start and stop with music, so I don't know if I can do it. Yes, sir, I can. Here we go.
That's why you need Josh, because you don't know what you're doing.
I absolutely feel like I'm, because it ain't even playing nothing right now. Oh, yeah, no, I know why. Josh muted it. Here we go. All right, here we go.
I wanna fly, can you take? Give me a star to reach for.
And they'll go so.
I'll go so high.
Won't touch the ground.
Take these wings and pull these strings and stitch these wings
before we all fall down. We just want the truth. The truth. Why? Consider make these walls fall down. We just want the truth. That's all we want is the truth, right? Why? Consider make these walls fall down. Ain't I the closest thing to an angel with broken wings? Can't fly. People tried to kill him, but he can't die. And he can't deal with the pain, the damage he inflicts on himself remains, and he can't heal when he's supposed to. So as opposed to having energy, he doesn't. He's been exposed to the truth, and there's an enemy between him and God. So much chemistry between him and I. Chemically we're the same, so I guess he is my inner side. Intertwined, him and I are the same chemically, You got that medicine, it better be proven clinically to heal him. Better yet, kill him. Until then, I represent truth. That's all I gotta say, And they get upset, and they make death threats like that don't make them a suspect. I consider myself enlightened, so I look on the bright side. When I say if they kill me, I'll just be a legend faster, an even better rapper. And I never use guns because I never had to. You catch me slipping, then I guess I'm Casper. But let me ask you, then make your life any better, you jealous bastard? It don't matter, I'm everlasting. I'm telepathic. I'll drop hella classics. I'll tell you that shit. I'll live forever. I was feeling it when I wrote this song, y'all. When it comes to the truth, you gotta reach for the stars like Inspector Gadget in order to grasp it. Who better at it? Snatch the crown from whoever has it. Take it and give it back to him after I let them have it. Like, why would you give it back to him after you let them have it? Cause I'm consistently growing. Trust me, my head'll just crack it. Eventually, I'ma be who I was meant to be. The only thing that's keeping me from that is my mental. See, you can't see it cause your mind's raveled. But give me a year with you, you'll believe in time travel. There we go. Thank you guys very much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next week. Love you all. And the actual person who's singing on that song, that is Tamika Coleman. She actually has been on the show before, and she's actually working it out because she stays in like Denver, Colorado. So we're working it out now to bring her here so we can do a music video to this. This song I'm still holding. Y'all haven't heard the whole thing. That is just a portion because I refuse to let this go until it's perfect and I actually have the video and everything for you guys. So again, thank you guys for coming in and listening. We've sit here for a while and there's still 300 people watching, which is powerful to me. Much love to you guys, and let's just continue to make this world a better place. And that's all I have to say. Peace to you, family.
Peace.